The Las Vegas Raiders do not have a wide receiver one, but they do have a robot tight end from heaven. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about having a number one wide receiver, the cost of having a number one wide receiver, and is it best for the Las Vegas Raiders if they don't have the receivers in the building this year to go out and get one, or is it best to try to get one and build around him in the draft next year? So we're going to break down number one receivers, teams that have number one receivers, teams that have two number one receivers and didn't make the playoffs, right? So shout out to everybody in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see y'all, right? We talked about the offensive line and how they were in 2024. They went from a 25th, 6th ranked unit down to the teens, right? Some people have them at 11. Some people had them at 8th. From the month of December on, that unit picked it up, right? That unit consisted of Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, who in 2024 and 5 last year was the only Raider that had a win rate better than 60% or better than 50%, I do believe. So Dylan Parham is gone, right? We had JPJ and Andre James as the center, and then we had JPJ at the right guard, and the same guy we still have, DJ Glaze, at the right tackle position, right? We're going to throw in a little bit of film. We're going to watch a little bit about Jordan Meredith and why I believe Jordan Meredith should be fighting for a guard spot and not a backup center role. I think that should belong to JPJ if he doesn't win the starting job, right? Well, we talked about that. We talked about how the defense last year only gave up 3.7 yards a rush. That was pretty high in the NFL, 3.7 yards a carry. So a defense that on paper gave up a lot of yards, but we talked about that and was in the third and fourth quarter, right? When teams were already ahead and all they did was run the ball. But they only gave up 3.7 yards, right? So you have a defense that was solid in the run. Now you have faster linebackers. You have faster corners. You have a corner in Eric Stokes who QBR against, this is quarterbacks going against him. Their QBR was at 83.7. If you look at Darian Porter, QBR against was at 86. So you had two corners that when they were in the game, and Darian Porter probably should have been out there more, right? Held opposing quarterbacks to a low 80 QBR or in the top 80s, mid 80 QBR, which is pretty solid. Now you have a quarterback, a DC and Robbie Leonard, who's going to come in and change things up, right? A lot of the Raiders' numbers, if you look at it on paper, were four defensive linemen rushing 5 guys constantly. The Raiders didn't blitz a lot. They were one of the lowest ranked blitzing teams in the NFL. They sent 4 constantly, and they tried to cover, and they failed at coverage because they didn't have linebackers that could cover, right? They didn't have safeties that could cover. They had guys that were physical that could stop the run. That's why they were one of the better yards per carry defenses in the NFL. Now you take all that into account, right? And you look at all the things that the Raiders needed. We need a number one quarterback, right? Well, you got that in the building. Does he play week 1? We don't know, right? But if he doesn't, you have 2 veterans in the building, and Kirk Cousins and Aiden O'Connell, that are very capable of holding down the ship until the young man is ready, right? So going through the NFL, and I found some things that were pretty interesting, but let me get through all these people in the building. Sweet ASMR, Candy, what's good? Coco Dabs, myself. I don't know why that's not pinned. Faded Raider, what's good? What's good? Wide receiver is arguably one of the critical positions on the field when playing football. Yes, but how much does it hurt your team when you're paying that wide receiver $36 million a year? Right? Can you afford to have 5 of those guys, 6 of those guys? Right? We'll get into that in a minute. Right? Tom Brady did it for years. How many number one receivers did Tom Brady have? He had a number one tight end. I think the Raiders have a number one tight end. I think Tom Brady is in our building, right? I do believe Tom Brady is in the building. He's the guy running the ship right now, captain of the ship from afar, right? He's remote controlling the ship like PlayStation, but he's still running the ship, right? And he knows what it takes. He knows he didn't win a lot when they had Randy Moss. He didn't win a lot when they went and got these top receivers, right? I mean, they still won a lot because they were the Patriots, but it's been done, right? So the Vinny T's was good. Hi today. I see you in the building. Appreciate you. Are you ready for some football? Man, I was born ready for some football. Sacktown Mike in the building. What's good, my brother? I appreciate you. Jason Ruiz. What's good, my bro? What's good? Roash in the building. What's good, my guy? Rebel at work as usual. I'm busy and wanted to stop in. Wanted to stop by and say what up. Have a great stream. Appreciate you, my brother. Showing love. Thanks for pulling up. My guy, Furpo in the building with the Raiders. Oos. What's up, family? How you been, my brother? How you been? Good, good. All right, so we got everybody. Appreciate everybody pulling up. But let's talk about this, man. Let's look at some of these numbers, right? And I guess I should pull it up on the screen for y'all because I'm sure y'all want to see the numbers instead of me talking. Sometimes visualization is the key, right? Let's get into it. Let's visualize. Let's visualize. Let's visualize. All right, so what we have here is a failure to communicate, right? A lot of people feel like, man, you got to have that number one wide receiver, right? You need that big dog to take the top off the defense. But does he always have to be a number one receiver? And does he have to be appreciate you for listening. Does he have to be a guy that, is making 30 plus, 35 plus $1 million a year? Or can you have those guys like Trey Tucker, like, some of these guys that are only making 20, 25, like a guy we let go in Jacoby Myers, right? Can you get through to some of these guys? And we're going to break it all down, but here's the numbers. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 1,700 yards. They made the playoffs. Puka Nacua, 1,750 yards on 166 targets. He caught 129 of them. That's 13.3 yards per attempt, right? Trey Tucker averaged 12.2 yards per attempt. Now, if you give Trey Tucker 129 receptions on 166 targets, that's like 1,400, almost 1,500 yards. Now, I'm not saying Trey can do that, but I'm not saying Trey can't, especially in a Kubiak system. You look at George Pickens, right? 17 games, 137 targets my man had, 93 receptions, averaged 15.4. 15.4. That's absolutely amazing with 9 touchdowns, 1,429 yards. But guess what? Dallas didn't make the playoffs. Dallas did not make the playoffs. They also had another wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb who had 1,000 yards. He had 117 attempts, 75 receptions, averaged 14.4. They didn't make the playoffs. So you have 2 wide receivers, one who's not making as much as he should, and he's going to very, very soon, in George Pickens, right? I mean, he's one of them ones. Let's go down to the next stat. You have the Bengals, Jamar Chase. Man, what's that contract look like? Just saying. How many receivers could you have, solid receivers, that can make plays, that can win their one-on-one and do their 111 for that price? Well, ask the New England Patriots because they seem to think it would work. You could also go ask the Jacksonville Jaguars, who will break down their stats here in a little bit. But Jamar Chase, 185. 185 targets for Jamar Chase. He caught 125 balls, 11.3. That's less yards per catch than Trey Tucker. He had 1,412 yards. They didn't make the playoffs, in case y'all didn't know. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Whew, that's a nice contract too over there. 172 targets. Yes, correct. 172 times they threw to Mr. Amon-Ra St. Brown. He caught 117 of those for 12 yards per catch. That's 0.2 less than Trey Tucker, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. 1,401 yards, 11 touchdowns. Pretty solid season. Guess what? They didn't make the playoffs. They also had Jahmyr Gibbs, who was one of the top running backs in the NFL, receiving and rushing. They didn't make the playoffs. What does all this mean? If you spend all your money on the offensive side of the ball and your defense can't get stops, it doesn't matter how good your wide receivers are. It doesn't matter how many points they put up if they can't stop the other team from putting up the same amount of points. Now, Terry McBride, a tight end, broke Brock Bowers' record, 1,239 yards. He had 169 targets for a tight end. The Arizona Cardinals threw to Trey McBride 169 times. He caught 126 targets. That's a damn good number. Where's the percentage at? 72. I think 72. But that's a damn good percentage. He averaged 9.8 yards a carry. Now, I'm going to switch over here to this one. Trey Tucker, 12.2 yards a carry. Brock Bowers, 10.6. That's going to go up. He was on one leg. Jacoby Myers is no longer here, 10.7. Ashton Genty averaged 6.3 out of the backfield. Those numbers would be way higher if a lot of those attempts weren't 5 yards behind scrimmage with 3 people waiting for him to catch the ball. Just my opinion. Michael Mayer. Now, Michael Mayer had 50 targets. Michael Mayer had 50 targets, caught 35. That's a very, very high percentage. He averaged 9.4 per target, 328 yards. Could you imagine if he gets 70 targets and catches 50? That puts him somewhere around 500 yards, right? For your backup. That's solid numbers. Jack Besh averaged 11.2 yards per reception. A lot of people say Jack Besh is going to have, trouble making this team. Hondo Carpenter made a report, I do believe today, that said he wouldn't be surprised if some of these guys show out, like Malik Vincent, like my guy Cedric Jackson, and Jack Besh is on a trading block. So, Jack Besh, 224 yards, 29 targets, caught 20 balls in 16 games, 11.2, right? Tyler Lockett is no longer with us. He doesn't matter. Dante Thornton, who a lot of people said struggled. He had 30 targets. He caught 10 of them. That's not a very good percentage. But he also had 135 yards, which was 13.5 yards per catch. Pretty solid number. Ian Thomas, still with the team. He had 13 targets, caught 13 passes for 114 yards. Raheem Mostert is no longer here. Cedric Jackson caught 4 out of 5 targets, 56 yards, averaged 14 yards per catch. This is my guy that I believe is going to make the roster in Cedric Jackson. But looking at those, we have 12.2, Brock at 10.6. Those are going to skyrocket to somewhere probably around 12 or 13. Playing on one leg, only played in 12 games. Yes, I'm making excuses for Brock Bowers, if you want to call it that. But Jack Besh had 11.2, Dante Thornton 13.5, and Cedric Jackson with a whopping 14.0. Now, he didn't get a lot of targets. But look at some of these guys over here, right? Zay Flowers, 1,200 yards, 118 targets, caught 86 balls, 14.1 yards per catch. Chris Olave averaged 11.6. That's Jack Besh numbers. I'm just saying. but he had 156 targets with 100 receptions for 1,163 yards, right? So Terry McBride, 1,200 yards, 169 targets. Guess what? They had one of the best offenses in all of football. They didn't make the playoffs. They also have um, Mark Williams over there, who had a pretty solid year and is going to get his bag if he already isn't. And they have Marvin Harrison Jr. over there, who had a pretty solid year as well. Offense was great. Defense can't stop anybody. Special teams, no bueno. Didn't make the playoffs. Zay Flowers, again. Guess what? You would think the Ravens made the playoffs, right? But Lamar hurt. No good backup. The Ravens didn't make the playoffs either. Chris Olave, 11.6 yards per catch, 1,163 yards, 156 targets. He caught 100 of them. They didn't make the playoffs. Nico Collins got 120 targets. Now that's a little bit better, right? That tells me you got other players on your team that are getting targets and you're not taking all the targets. They had a pretty solid year. Their defense was great. They folded in the wild card game, I do believe. The second wide receiver for a team that didn't make the playoffs also had 102 targets with a crazy 65 receptions for 17.2 yards a catch. Now that is special, but he's not the number one guy. 1,117 yards, didn't make the playoffs. CeeDee Lamb, we talked about it, 14 yards per catch, didn't make the playoffs. Justin Jefferson, $36 million a year, 141 targets. He caught 84 balls. Oh my God, bro. Now, is that quarterback play? Is that offensive line? Is that just a pissed off wide receiver that is like, bro, I don't like this quarterback and I'm not putting my life or my career on the line to try to catch anything he's throwing? I don't know. There's been talks Justin Jefferson wants out. But again, 1,000-yard receiver. They got that number one guy. Didn't make the playoffs. Wan'Dale Robinson with the Giants, 1,000 yards, 140 targets, 92 catches, averaged 11 point per, right? Didn't make the playoffs. Now he's over there with a stud rookie wide receiver and a sophomore quarterback. The Titans could be dangerous, right? Because they're doing it right. They have a wide receiver over there that was their number one guy that decided, man, I'll take less money to come back because I know what y'all are building over here. And when you have those type of players, man, it works, right? Tedero McMillan. A lot of Raider fans said, man, we should have got Tedero McMillan instead of Ashton Genty. We needed that number one wide receiver. But maybe the Raiders had plans for a wide receiver in this year's draft. Is why they didn't take one last year. That's just my thoughts. There's one that I'm sure there's three that I know off the top of my head that everybody in the NFL would love to have. So maybe they had a plan and didn't take him. But Tedero McMillan averaged 14.5 yards per attempt. That is solid as hell. 1,000 yards, 1,014 to be exact. But he had 122 targets, caught 70 balls. Man, that's 52 passes that somehow didn't get to your receiver or your receiver didn't get to it. I don't know. Mike Wilson that we talked about, right? The second receiver, over 1,000 yards for the Cardinals, who didn't make the playoffs. 1,000 yards, 126 targets, 78 balls. A.J. Brown. To the Eagles, yeah, they made the playoffs. But out of all these teams on here with these 1,000 yards, this is the last one. Alec Pierce, right? 21.3 yards per carry. He took the top off the defense, right? He stretched the field. He stretched it out, right? And then you got Jonathan Taylor behind him to just run some RPOs, run some handoffs, because your man is taking two people with him at that rate. I mean, 21.3 yards per attempt, 1,000 yards. He only had 84 targets and he only caught 47. Man. What a difference a good quarterback makes. You know what I mean? Daniel Jones was having a whopping year. A former first-round pick was doing his thing over there before he got hurt. And Alex Pierce was reaping the rewards of that offensive line. Alex Pierce was reaping the rewards of that solid running game in Jonathan Taylor. Is why Alec Pierce, a guy that's not a number one, wasn't the number one, didn't even have the number one targets, I believe, on that on the roster for the Colts. 84 targets, 47 catches, 1,000 yards. Why can't that be Trey Tucker? Why can't that be Jalen Naylor? I don't know. Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. The next guy is Emeka Ibuka and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Man, they got 3 wide receivers on there. One was hurt, is now, where is he at? Where's Mike Evans at? Somebody let me know in the comments, right? But looking at these stats, man, looking at these stats, right? You have how many? 19 teams. 19 teams that had receivers with 1,000 yards. Out of those 19 teams, man, only 4 made the playoffs. Jackett Smith, 1, 2. 3, 4. Stephon Diggs, 5, 6. AJ Brown, 7. Oh, no, yeah. So 6 out of the 19 receivers, 6 out of the 19 receivers that had 1,000 yards didn't make the playoffs. You know why? Because all their money goes to the offense. All their money goes to the offense. The Raiders, a lot of money has went to the offense over the years, and in the years coming, all the money is going to go to the offense when you have to pay Brock Bowers, when you have to end up paying Fernando Mendoza and Ashton Genty all within back-to-back years. That's going to be a problem, right? That's going to be a huge problem. And I think the Raiders are looking at that. I think they're looking at that, saying, do we really go out and get a free agent and pay him all this money? Or can we win with the receivers we got? Now let's look at the receivers we got, right? Trey Tucker had 666 yards. Brock Bowers only had 680. Michael Mayer had 352. Genty had 346. And Besh had 224. Tyler Lockett, 221. Dante Thornton, 125. And the rest are pretty much under 100 yards, right? Pretty much under 100 yards. But I'm looking at this offense, and I'm saying, all right, if you give Trey Tucker some of these numbers, where's my calculator at? Break out the calculator, right? If you give Trey Tucker 116 passes, and there's enough to go around, I'll get to it, right? 116 passes at 12.2 yards a catch. I believe those numbers per catch could go up, right? You have a better scheming offensive coordinator. He's going to be one-on-one an awful lot, especially if they put him in the slot and they have a Malik Benson or Jack Besh or a Cedric Jackson that can take that X role, and you can put Bowers on the inside from the tight end position. Man, that offense is going to be scary. But if you give Trey Taylor, he's gone, but Trey Tucker, 92 catches at 12.2 yards, that's 1,122 yards. It's 1,122 yards. Now, that could vary up and down, right? Up and down. But if you give Jack, let's see, what else? Jack Besh. Let's go with Jack Besh. In this wide receiver room, Wait, let's talk about this first. This wide receiver room, I feel like it's going to be a lot different than people think, right? ESPN has Dante Thornton penciled in. We know how I've talked about Dante Thornton. I just feel like he has too long of a time frame to develop, in my opinion, unless he just pops off in camp this year like he did the beginning of the year and last year. Shout out to everybody in the building. But if he doesn't, man, you have guys like EJ Williams, you have guys like Cedric Jackson, you have guys like Malik Benson, you have guys like Chase Roberts, you have the other Williams that they brought in from Indiana that runs a 4.37, right? You have these guys that are fast. And if you have three guys like the Chiefs have done for many years, right? The Chiefs, how many Super Bowls did they win without a true number one receiver? They had a wide receiver committee and they had a number one tight end in Travis Kelce. The Raiders have a number one wide receiver in Brock Bowers. That's a better receiver than Travis Kelce, in my opinion, because you can put him out on the outside, right? You can line him up in different positions. He has that speed, he has that separation, right? You look at Rick, my guy, what's good? Christopher Raiders, what's good? Let you come in. Shit, hold on. All right, give me a second. Give me a second. Um, right, you look at what we got. Now I just lost my train of thought. Um, but you look at what we got in the building, and you look at what the Patriots had and how many Super Bowls they won, right? How many Super Bowls did the Patriots win? How many Super Bowls have the Kansas City Chiefs win? And what was their recipe? Their recipe was fast receivers, guys that did the dirty work, guys that knew how to run their routes, that weren't greedy, that weren't selfish, that weren't worried about being the highest paid receiver in the NFL. They were worrying about being the best receiver for their team and their franchise. And I feel like the Raiders have went and got guys like that. They've drafted guys like that. They've drafted high character guys. They've signed guys, like Derek Young and guys like Jalen Naylor that are those type of character guys, right? They want to help this franchise win. They want to help this team win. They're not worried about the targets. If they were, Jalen Naylor would have probably asked to be out a long time ago. He had Addison and Justin Jefferson over there and a tight end, right? And Andrews taking shit and a running back taking a whole lot of his receptions. So the fact that he stuck around till his contract year was good and he moved on. So, Jalen Naylor has a chip on his shoulder. You also add again Cedric Jackson, Malik Benson, right? There's a lot of receivers in this building that are in the 4.3s, and if you line them up like the Kansas City Chiefs have done year in and year out, but you have guys that are physical that can win at the point of contact, that can win at those 50-50 balls like Jack Besh, like Brock Bowers, like Michael Mayer. I mean, just think about this team in 13 personnel. Like if you look at if you look at last year, the Raiders were the fourth highest clip in 12 personnel. I do believe Seattle was right behind them at sixth or eighth, somewhere in there, right? So they like to run a lot of 12 personnel. But what they also like to run, not they, Clint Kubiak likes to run, is a lot of 13 personnel, which gives you three tight ends, one running back. If you give me three fast mobile guys or fast guys on the line that have mobility, that can block and open up lanes for Ashton Genty and Mike Washington, man, this team is going to be different, dude. I'm telling you, this team is going to be different. All right, let me stop sharing this for a minute. Just hide this. Get back to the chat because I didn't save it anywhere, so I don't know who came in, who didn't come in. Real quick, I'm in the front office of the coaching staff. Wanted to, if you felt like they needed a wide receiver, they would have picked one in the first and second round. Let me clear this up. Or drafted one in free agency. They like what they have in the building. I agree, man. I agree. And there's a lot of people sleeping on this, but let's go back to this. I need to keep this Raiders one up. Wait. Wait. I don't know what I'm doing here. Um, I need teams. Where's teams? Teams. Hold on, I gotta change this. But yeah, if you look at this wide receiver group, like I talked about, man, speed kills, right? And if you have speedy guys that can get open and you have to worry about the run game, which teams are going to have to worry about the run game, right? You're going to have to worry about Ashton Genty. You're going to have to worry about Mike Washington. You're going to have to worry about Connor Hayward out of the backfield. We forget we have a tight end slash fullback out of the backfield. That's also going to get a lot of receptions. New window. Damn, I can't type. I can't talk. All right, back to this. All right, team leaders. Oh shit, I gotta reshare. My bad. My bad. I'm getting to it. I'll get to the chat in a minute. I see y'all. I appreciate y'all for being here. This one share. Let's get back to it. All right, so team leaders in the NFL, right? 2025 regular season for passing. Holy moly. Holy moly. The Rams had 6,709 yards throughout the season. They averaged a whopping 394 yards a game. You would think you would win the playoffs. But what was their main problem? Well, they showed what the main problem was in free agency by going and trading for the best defensive edge rusher possibly of all time. And yes, I'm gonna go that far. Possibly, like I said, possibly of all time. They go and get Myles Garrett, which tells me the Rams knew what their problem was. It was stopping teams. They don't have no problem scoring on teams. The Rams have never had a problem scoring on teams, right? 394 yards a game. They had 4,000. This passing 4,557 yards passing, 2,112 yards rushing. First in the NFL. Dallas, the team we talked about, who didn't make the playoffs with all those high priced wide receivers, right? They also had a running back that had 1,000 yards. They had 6,663 yards, averaged 391 yards a game, 4,527 yards passing, averaged 266 yards passing, 1,136 yards rushing. I'll pull you up in a minute, my brother. Hold up. The Patriots are behind them. The Buffalo Bills are behind them. If y'all can see the numbers, let me know so I don't have to read each one. The Detroit Lions, right, didn't make the playoffs. Behind them. The Bears, pretty damn solid. The 49ers, the Seahawks, Indianapolis, Denver, Jacksonville. Now, this is the one right here I want to talk about, right? The Jacksonville Jaguars. Because if you look at their offense, did I just get rid of all of those? Oh, wait, hide this. If you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars offense, as soon as I can find it, Jesus Christ, man. All right, but they didn't have 1,000-yard receiver. They had a guy that blossomed towards the end of the year. And as soon as I get this damn thing pulled up, I will show you. Yeah, them dudes. Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know what's going on, bro. I cannot type today. All right, so here we go. If you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, I gotta stop sharing this one, I do believe. right? Jacksonville Jaguars, they had a 4,000-yard quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, who threw for 566 attempts, 341 complete, a low 60.9 completion ratio. Ouch. But they made the playoffs. 7.2 average, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 41 sacks. But they made the playoffs. They had 1,000-yard rusher who they got rid of in Eatine. Lawrence rushed for 359 yards. Burrell Tootin rushed for 307 yards. And Larry Allen, not Larry Allen, something Allen rushed for 94 yards. They had a couple of guys, wide receivers on reverses and screens. But what I'm getting at, let's get to the wide receiving, right? They had Parker Washington, had 95 attempts, 58 receptions, 847 yards for 14.6 yards per catch, right? You add Brian Thomas Jr., a first-round pick. Shit, who I thought was going to be the best receiver in that draft is struggling right now. But he had 707 yards. I think he had a broken wrist or something with his hand. 91 targets, only caught 48 balls out of those 91. That's kind of like Trey Tucker stats, right? If you look at Trey Tucker, he had 92 targets. He caught 56 of them for just a little under, right? His average was a little better, 4.7 yards per catch. But look how they won, right? They had a guy that had 840 yards, 700 yards, 500 yards. Jacoby Myers, 483 yards, who came to the team late. Terrell Hunter, who had 298 yards. Eatine out of the backfield had 292. Brown had 227. Patrick had 187. Their other tight end had only 100 yards. I mean, there's a lot, bro. Somebody else had 50, 79, 55, 54, 56, right? They had a total of what we say 547 targets. No 1,000-yard receiver, but they made the playoffs because they had a defense that was the number one highest turnover rate in all of the NFL, which means you get more attempts. Now, if they had better quarterback play, which I feel we do, I've said it all along. If you look at AOC stats compared to Trevor Lawrence in his rookie and second years, it's not even close. If you look at Kirk Cousins' stats compared to Trevor Lawrence, it's not even close. I feel like Kirk Cousins is a better passer of the quarterback, definitely makes better decisions. Now, can he still do that at a high clip? Man, we got lots of questions about that. But let me get into this chat real quick. Lamb also getting paid a huge amount, right? And that's why their defense is lacking because they can't afford it. That's why they got rid of Michael Parsons. They had to get rid of Michael Parsons because they needed money to bring in more defensive players. Because if you look at the Cowboys cap, 30 million here, 30 million here, 40 million here, 30 million here. You can't win like that. I'm sorry. You can't win like that in the NFL and now in today's football. You have to have guys that are on rookie contracts that can play at a high clip. And if you don't draft guys that can play at a high clip, you don't make the playoffs. And it shows by all these teams that have all these, star players and high paid wide receivers and, $36 million defensive ends with, 10 sacks a year. That's not helping you win because you don't have any W's, right? You could have Jamar Chase and still underperform as a team. Yeah, that's that's crazy. You could have Jamar Chase, you could have guys like Justin Jefferson, right? You could have two of those guys. The Bengals got Higgs and Jamar Chase. So it's crazy, bro. I'm so ready for football this season to watch the 49ers beat the Las Vegas Raiders. Well, you'll get two opportunities, my brother, because I do believe they play in the preseason and then they play in the regular season. So you get that ass whipped twice. So pull up, don't talk about it, be about it, and let's watch. Greg Brewer in the building. What's good, my guy Alec as well. Kubiak gonna make some noise with the Raiders. I mean, 100%, dude. 100%. 100%. Troy in the building. It's too bad the Raiders don't play the Vikings. It is. It is too bad because I would love them, love to see Max Crosby just obliterate JJ McCarthy and mini me. I mean, sorry, Kyler Murray. I don't know what I'm saying. Raiders beat the Niners in the preseason. Let's go. I think we got a shot, man. Like, I'm looking at everybody's record and everybody's teams and rosters, right? And I'm looking at the defenses we play, and I'm looking at the speed the Las Vegas Raiders have, and I'm looking at Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm trying not to keep the expectations crazy. But if they win or lose, it doesn't matter, right? At this point, it does matter to me. It always matters. I just want to win, just win, baby. That's the slogan, commitment to excellence. I want that to be back. And if we have some close games that don't go our way because of, stupid scenarios, or if we gave it our all, that's okay. But it's not okay if you do it all year long, right? We need to go out, win games. We need to show that we are a force to be reckoned with, and teams are going to have to scheme for Brock Bowers. You're going to have to scheme for Ashton Genty. You're going to have to scheme for Mike Washington coming out of the backfield because it's a change of pace that the Raiders have not had in a long time, and teams are going to be, on their heels, in my opinion. Let me get this link, my brother. Hold on. Where the hell is it at? All right, let me pin this one so I know where we are at. Let me send you this link. Hold on, I gotta send him a link real quick. Messages. My boy Christopher Raider. Wait, what's going on? Oh, there we go. I know you're on here somewhere. Aha. Aha. And aha. Oh, paste, bitch. Cancel. Paste. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. Yes. All right, man. I sent you the link. I do believe Christopher Raider, my brother. No Raiders on the list. No, we didn't have any 1,000-yard receivers. We didn't have any 1,000-yard receivers. That's a bad thing, right? But Jacksonville Jaguars, man, they had, Brian Thomas Jr. is a first round pick that's on that rookie contract. Parker Washington, I believe, is as well. Hold on. Let me check out Parker Washington. Bio. Yeah, 2023. 6th round pick. See, this is what I'm saying. This is what gives me hope in guys like Cedric Jackson and guys like Dante Thornton too, and Malik Benson, right? You had this guy 5'10", 204 pounds. I see you, my brother. Hold on. Drafted in the 6th round. In the 6th round, bro. That's cray. All right, let me pull this back off. Hide. Pull up Mr. Chris.
Oh, pause.
Hold on. I gotta change the scene.
Yeah.
And then I gotta get headphones so I can hear what the hell's going on. Yo!
Yo, what's up?
What's good, my brother?
Oh man, everything's good, man. Getting ready for this. I gotta mute this mic. Hold on a minute. Getting ready for this season to start. Can't wait.
Hell yeah, I can't wait either, man. So I seen I don't know how long you was in the chat, but what do you feel like? What we're talking about. You got all these teams, right, that have these star number one receivers, and there was 19 receivers that had 1,000 yards.
I got feedback. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Let me mute you. I got feedback.
All right, so you figured it out for a minute. I'll keep talking. Let me know if it works. But if we're looking at the Raiders, right, last season against our opponents, man, total points per game 14.2. That's going to change with Kubiak. That's going to change with the Ashton Genty that actually has an offensive line and doesn't get hit right away in the backfield. That's going to change with the healthy Brock Bowers, right? Those numbers are going to change. Opponents 25.4. That's a horrible number, right? We need to have that number somewhere down to 17 or 18, I feel like, to be competitive in the AFC West. And that's getting it a touchdown a game, right? That's one less touchdown a game. I feel like the Raiders are going to have to, not give up, because 25.4 points a game is just way too much. It's just way too much, especially when you're only scoring 14.3. I mean, you can't compete like that, right?
Yeah, most teams get 14 points in the first quarter and a half. You
Right?
know, we never had 14 points by halftime, and we get 14 points towards the end of the game with a field goal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
14 points per game. I
I
yeah.
was I was listening to the receiver talk. I like what he was saying. Not like what Chad was saying. I just got on because I was fixing my air conditioning. But the thing is that everybody's saying we need a number one receiver. I don't want a diva again in this locker room. I don't want another AB. I don't want Devontae Adams is a good receiver. I don't want that. I don't want AJ Brown. I don't want what's that guy name? Diggs
Yeah.
to disrupt
Yeah.
what we trying to build, because we don't know if we have one number receiver yet that's in the building now, because we have bad quarterback play, bad offensive calls, worst offensive line in history. So we know we got. We know we got Brock Bowers. Yeah. We got that Trey Tugger. Yeah. Well, we know about the rest of these guys going there. So I'm glad what you said. I agree with.
Yeah, I feel like, a lot of these guys are being slept on, man. Shout out for the $5 super chat. I see you. Hi today. Let me read this comment real quick. Raiders have 5 opening practice in Vegas this year before the game. That's just team practices, and yes, thanks for I should have announced that when I started, but yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. We'll get into that in a minute. Let me pin that one. We'll get into that. But yeah, man, you're looking at, I'm looking at this receiving core, and I'm looking at last year's stats, right? You know, your quarterback was on his back 61 times. I mean, damn, that's like an OnlyFans girl, you know what I mean? Like, come on,
What?
dude. I mean, you're on your back 61 times a game, is, and it wasn't all him, because it was two other quarterbacks that are one other quarterback. I don't know if Aiden was sacked or not in the game.
He barely got in when he did. He only put in for emergencies. But you got to look at it when the defense is in the backfield before the ball is hiked, or the ball hiked. There's a problem with that. You
Huge
know.
problem.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know. I think Geno Smith was colorblind. I think he's ice checked because he always threw to the other team. I guess he couldn't recognize the uniform. I don't know.
directly to the other team. I think, I thought he was handing out Christmas gifts early. I don't know. But
Well, he did because I'd rather throw an interception than get sacked. Like, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, right. Just throw the damn ball away. But yeah, man. Look, so looking at our stats last year against opponents, right? We had total points 241. Our opponents averaged 432.
Wait. We had 241 against opponents.
Yeah, 201. That's how many points we scored for the season, I guess.
I seen popcorn teams score more points than that.
Yeah, total points for the season.
And they only play six games. So
241 is what we had. We had 25 total touchdowns. Our opponents 48.
Jesus.
First downs, we had 256. Our opponents had 330. Now, if you just change these numbers a little bit, right? If you just tweak these numbers a little bit, if it goes from 241 to 350 or to 300 or I don't know, 14 points a game. We need to be in the 432s like our opponents. Basically, we need to double that, and I feel like we can do that this year.
Basically, we didn't score more than I think it was 13.8 points a game. I looked at it. 13.8 points a game we scored.
Yeah, 14.2 is what they have on ESPN.
14.2, okay.
14.2, and our opponents
we score more than that.
And our opponents average 25.4 against us per game.
And what did Pete Carroll said? Oh, we're going to average 20 points a game. Dude, you don't think you got 20 points in one game. They might have, but I don't remember that game.
I don't think. I think we the New England game we scored 20 points. I think it was 20-13. I think it was the big. Not off the top of my head, I could be wrong. But go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So again, and then looking at our total first downs, we had total 256 first downs. Opponents had 330. Rushing first downs, we had. This is
don't do it. Don't do it. I'm saying
it's that famous number that seems to be going around that I don't even want to say, but it's 67 total rushing first downs. Our opponents averaged 126 against us,
so we barely got half of what they got. Barely.
Yes, half. Now, you can say a lot of that is coaching, right? Because I talked about at the beginning of the show, yards per rush. We gave up 3.7. That was bottom of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at total rush yards and yards per game, it skyrocketed because they ran the ball so many times, right? These teams are running the ball 40 times against us. Some teams, it's hard to stop that, but to still, have teams running the ball that much and still average only give up 3.7 yards a carry, which is what we averaged with Genty, 3.7. It wasn't bad for our defense, but passing first downs, now it's a little better. We had 161, and for the defense that everybody says was horrible in the past, we only gave up 175.
People look at our defense was bad last year. It really wasn't that bad because we're in the top 20 in a lot of categories. You look at it. It wasn't defense bad. It's the point defense on the field so much. That was the problem. I mean, like I said, Gio Smith come in there, 3 and out, interception, 3 and out, interception. Defense needed a break. So we don't feel most of the time.
And
plus, our tackling wasn't good last year. It wasn't. No. Our tackling was horrific.
Not unless you were Devin White. Devin White's the only one that could tackle last year. Yeah, I take that back. I do believe Jeremy Chin had over 100 tackles.
Jeremy Chin and Stokes were only those only guys that really tackled well.
I think
Leonard Robbins didn't tackle anybody. I've seen guys like just run right by him, like, dude, what are you doing?
So the first down, passing first downs is not too bad, right? That means, we didn't have a lot at 161. That's a pretty low number. That's below average in the NFL. That puts us like in the 20, like 24 something plus with only 161 passing first downs. But if you look at the against, right, if we're that low, we held teams to that low. So, passing first downs, we didn't give up a lot. we gave up a lot of big plays, which hurt us.
Yeah,
But
big
you know,
runs, big plays. Yeah,
and like you said, the defense wasn't bad. It was the fact that Pete Carroll, I believe, was meddling in the defense, and Patrick Graham didn't get to run his scheme. Right, there was reports that he only got to call, most of the plays in probably maybe a total of like 6 games or something total. Like there was so many quarters where Pete Carroll was like, do this for one quarter. If it doesn't work, whatever, then you can do try your thing. But by then it's already too late, right? So if you're looking at that and you look at the position that the defense was put in constantly, right? 17 turnovers, 17 interceptions. That's 17 plays where more than likely your team is, inside their 50, backed up, right? So that's hard to deal with for any defense. If you're constantly coming out on the field, at the 20-yard line or the 30-yard line, it's hard not to give up those 30 yards,
yeah,
and those points. You're already in field goal range. So the defense is like, man, come on, we just at least keep them
yeah.
keep them out of the end zone. So for
Yeah,
what
so scenarios there, the defense will stop them. They punt the ball. We get the ball on 35-yard line. Geno Smith throw an interception. They got the ball on the 40-yard line, like you said, in field goal range. So now we just came out, get the ball back to offense. Now we go back in. Then I got something got on a short field. So it wasn't all their fault. I mean, they did what they could, but when the offensive coordinator, your head coach is out there just getting the ball back to him every time we get the ball back, yeah, what can you do?
And then you got to look at the fact that how they use their depth, right? They kept Jamal Anderson on the field way too much. They kept Landon Roberts on the field way too much. They kept Devin White on the field the whole entire game, almost every single game. The dude's 27, 28 years old. Like he's not in shape like he used to be, right? And he's definitely not as fast as he used to be. So you're having this man, Devin White, on the field, like 80, almost 90% of the snaps, I do believe. I think it was higher than that. And, 161 tackles is great. But when you're 28 and you're constantly covering, guys that are faster than you and younger than you for,
look up
80 yards down the field, because there was a lot of times where our punter would put us in great position where teams were starting at their own 15, their own 10. I mean, a couple of times teams started at their 2-yard line and walked us down the field like it was nothing.
Well, the first home game we played against the Chargers, with Geno Smith first pass, interception, they're right there on 10-yard line. Well, do me a favor, look up the stats on the Raiders tackling, linebacker tackling. Who's you said Devin White was at 161. Who's the next guy after that?
Let me look.
I'm going to compare because you want your linebackers to have more tackles than anybody on the team. That means that they up front and they hitting the guys and running backs, whatever. But if he only had 161, this guy only had 70. There's something wrong with that picture.
Oh, I think Jeremy Chin was the next closest. ESPN Raiders defense.
Well, I'm talking about linebackers. Well, yeah, he played a lot in the box, so I can see him getting a lot of tackles.
And a lot of those were, I believe, in coverage.
Probably so.
That's what I feel. They were in coverage. So, rushing. All right, here we are. Defense. So Devin White had. Oh, I was wrong. he had 174 tackles.
Okay.
He had 95 solos, 79 assisted with 2.5 sacks. Jeremy Chin, I was right, 114 tackles. He had 51 assisted, 63 solo. Isaiah Palamau had 92 tackles. Landon Roberts had 90 tackles. Max Crosby had 73. Eric Stokes had 53. Jonah Lalu had 50. Adam Butler had 50.
Okay, so Landon Roberts had 90.
Yeah, 90.
And he was the middle linebacker.
He's the middle.
And you didn't mean to tell me that a couple of the defensive linemen, well, yeah, I guess so. But you mean to tell me he only had 90 compared to 174? He's the middle linebacker? Something wrong with that picture.
Well, the good thing about that is we have Quay Walker, who has averaged over 120 tackles since he's been in the league. We got Quay. We got Quay Walker that averages 120 tackles, so that should make up for the Devin White thing. We got Nakobe Dean in the building, right? And then we're gonna have like 2 outside linebackers as edge rushers. So I don't know if they'll be qualified as the outside linebackers or edge. I don't know. what they're going to qualify us at. But Isaiah Palomar, that's 90 tackles. That's
Yeah, just as much
92
tackle.
tackles. That's a lot
Yeah,
from
more tackles than our middle linebacker.
There's more tackles than your free safety. That says a lot. That says
Yes.
the offense is getting behind your front seven way too much, or
No, it's the
Isaiah
coverage.
or Isaiah Palomal is having to come up and make the tackles that you're not making. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it was coverage they're calling. They were calling that cover 3 too much, so they all playing back and waiting to see what happens. And and I was mad with the fact that I know our show's called cover 3, but not because of that. But it's the fact that we was waiting to see what happened and then go for it instead of attacking like we should be doing, which I think they're gonna do this year with the guys they picked up. I think we're more of an attack phase and like just wait and see. See, throw a ball 10 yards out. Okay, then we'll go get it. No, don't let them throw the 10 yards out. Get them before they throw a 10-yard pass. I think that's the defense we're going to. That's what I like Patrick Graham, but like you said earlier, I don't think Patrick Graham had full control of that defense. Pete Carroll's a defensive man.
Nah, I don't think he had any control of that.
I don't think because remember the year before that when AP was over there, Patrick Graham defense was pretty good. That was a great defense. We couldn't get a lot of points because of the quarterbacks and all that stuff, but other than that, the defense looked pretty good until Pete Carroll came. Then the defense changed. Cover 3, they play cover 3 83% of the time.
God, that's
83% of the time.
83% of the time, cover 3 is absolutely pathetic.
You play that much, they're always going to say, "Oh, they're going to play cover 3." You know, I'll be cover 3. They never mix it up. There's always the same defense. Never mixed it up.
So let's see. We were defensive wise, we were. Oh shit! I can't see the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello to the chat, guys. Candy Angel, you guys. Hey, how you doing? I've been gone for a while. I'm coming back soon.
So ESPN has us saying we were fourth in the NFL at defense. Yards given up, yards per game.
Our defense wasn't bad last year.
I mean, rushing yards, we gave up 100, 116. That's,
I think
116 rushing yards a game. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That puts us 11th in the NFL.
Like I said, defense
we were 11th in the NFL in rushing yards given up.
Losing with a pack. Our problem was the big plays that burnt us. Wrong defensive calls.
And points per game. That's 25.4. There was teams like Houston who gave up 17.4. Teams like Denver gave up 18.3. Minnesota 19.6. The Chargers in our division only gave up 20 points a game. Seattle only gave up 17 points a game. I think that was the lowest. Hold on, let me see if I find another one. And then from there on out, the Dallas Cowboys gave up 30 points a game. This is what I was talking about.
30 points a game.
30 points a game, bro. You have two of the best wide receivers in the NFL, or could be in that talk. A great, running back, a damn good, top tier quarterback in Dak Prescott. And if you don't believe me, Dak Prescott is top tier. Go look at his numbers, man. He had 30 touchdowns with only under double digits interceptions last year. I think 8, which was crazy for Dak Prescott. He had a hell of a year. But yeah,
you know what? I would
the Bengals.
I would take Dak Prescott to Geno Smith right now.
So I'm glad you brought this up because this is my next point. Like all the teams that we were talking about that have 2 wide receivers that are making $30+ million, right? Those teams are all. Let me pull this up. Wait, I gotta stop sharing this one. Yeah, because y'all gotta see this, man. Y'all gotta see this. This is what I mean. This is what I'm talking about. Why the Raiders are doing the right thing, man. The Raiders are doing the right thing by not going out and get one of these wide receivers. They're building the guys in the building. They're developing guys because when you develop guys on younger contracts, you can afford to pay your defense, right? Now, Cincinnati, two of the highest paid receivers in the NFL. They gave up 28.9 points per game. 28.9, almost 30 points a game. The Dallas Cowboys gave up 30. The Bears gave up 24. The Cardinals, who had they were top 5 in the NFL in offense, and they didn't even have a great rushing game. This is just receiving offense. They gave up 28.7, but they put up almost 4,000 yards receiving, 2,000 yards rushing. Right, had one of the top offenses in the NFL, and they do have a rookie, still on a rookie contract. I think Marvin Harrison is still on his rookie contract, but then you got guys like Trey McBride who had 170 something targets, so that just leads me to my point. You got all these teams, the Detroit Lions, they have Jahmyr Gibbs, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they also have the Wilson that had more than St. Brown this year, right? They gave up 24 points a game, and they averaged what was their average? To about the same, which is why they didn't make the playoffs. The Raiders, we gave up 25. That is, man, that's almost tops in the league, bro. That's almost tops in the league. So the problem, like I said, with this defense, and what I've been trying to tell everybody and trying to get people to grasp why this team is going to be better this year than they have been in the previous years, is because the players have been there, man. We've had the players. It's been the coaching. It's been the offense putting the defense in bad situations, like we talked about. 17 turnovers. That's a lot of points I'm sure they gave up that piled on our points given up per game, right? An awful lot.
Well, we get the ball up in a good field position. I mean, anytime you throw an interception, they got the ball on the 10-yard line. There you go. That's instant field goal right there.
Yeah, make a play, and then you give them a play in better position than you had it in. So,
so we have one of the best punters in the league. So run away, let them stop the other end of the field. No, we'll just get the ball in right here. Just let them right. But going back to what you were saying, is that the point you made is excellent. The defense is going to be good this year. It's going to be better because now it's not going to be predictable defense because Rob Leonard's going to run all kinds of sets out there. Okay, they say we're in 3-4. Don't mean we're going to be in a 3-4. That means the base knowledge is a 3-4 defense, which you talk to. I listen to a lot of these offensive players, some of the best quarterbacks and the best running backs, best offensive and offensive coordinators. They said, "What's the worst defense you can play against?" They all said the same thing.
Right.
That 3-4 defense, I hate it.
Right.
I hate it because you don't know who's lining up, what they're gonna do. They can put a 5-man front out there. Who's coming in? Who's going back? Who's backing out? And that confuses the play calling. That confuses the quarterback system calling. It confuses audible. So Rob Leonard's gonna do he's gonna disguise his defense. He disguised his defense what we're gonna run. You might just send 2 guys in, put everybody back in coverage, or we might send everybody in, then you get a sack. So that's the thing. We were so predictable last year that they're gonna run cover 3. Yeah, well, all right, boom, touchdown. They're gonna cover 3. 20-yard completion. Now they're gonna oh shit. They got 5 guys on the line. Who? Auto. Then they drop back. That's what we're gonna do. That's why he said we're gonna base 3-4. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, that 3-4 is, you can run so many different schemes. You can run so many, shadow blitzes. You can run, you can have so many fast guys behind those 3. You know what I mean? You don't have to have 5 defensive linemen that weigh 300 pounds. You can put those guys in that run those 4 or 5 40s and can get skinny and get through the hole and put pressure on the quarterback. Right? You have defensive backs now, a bunch of them that you could run a whole lot of dime if you had to. You know what I mean? You could run dime in 3rd down situations like a lot of teams run on us. You can run those, cover 6 and cover 4, and you can do the things that a lot of teams have been doing that I think this defense is going to do, right? When you run, when you run palms on one side, right, and you're running quarters on the other. right? Which you got those three guys on one, you got the four on the other, and you're just shutting down the you just shut down the field with your speed and your size and your athleticism, and that to me, that's what the Raiders are doing. That's what I see. But let's talk about this third down conversion, third down efficiency. The Raiders. Yeah,
That's what you say.
I'm sorry. I had to laugh first. I couldn't hold it in. I had to
She
chuckle.
said third down conversion. She said third downs. I like
we had a whopping 72 out of 213 attempts. Third down efficiency, 72 out of 231. Teams against us had 106 out of 229. Jeez. That's a big, huge discrepancy. That's 30. I mean, damn, that's 34 difference on less than 15. That's 34 more first downs on less than 15 more attempts. That's bad, bro. That's bad.
Yeah. Third downs. I was like, did we get third downs? Yeah, I think we did. We had third down and 15, third down and 20, third down and 5, and then we did a quarterback sneak on third down and 2. What the hell are we doing?
Time of possession killed us, like my guy says. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, it did.
The time of possession is a big difference, and we'll get to that here in a minute. Fourth down efficiency. Now, this one, we had a 40.63. The killer in this is teams against us average 61.91%. Over 50% on fourth down against us is absolutely pathetic. And I would hide my face if I was on that defense. I'd be like, man, can you give me time to get better? Which you have. Thank God we have an off season, because I don't even know. I'd be like, Coach, I don't still want to play today. I got a stomach ache or something.
Yeah,
man.
right?
Like, come on. I mean, on fourth down, that means on 4th and 1, probably more than likely 4th and 2. Not too many teams, but there was times when it was 4th and 5 and teams went for it on us and got it. I can remember a time, I think it was 4th and 7, and I was like, they're not going for it. And they went for it. And they went for it. And they got it. And they got it. They did. I was like, oh, okay, I guess you are. I guess you are.
Wow, it's like basically they just slapped Raiders in the face, like, you can't stop us. And they didn't. Do this right. I like what Frank Weber said. It's at the bottom of the chat. It says people forget or maybe I earned enough to remember. Yeah, they played 3-4.
Yes,
on the pitch,
100%.
Yeah.
So I've been preaching, and a lot of those, were teams sneaking in. One was the only wild card team to sneak in and make a Super Bowl and win, right?
Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, I remember that
at that time, and I think the other one, didn't we sneak in a wild card? Second one,
I think it was the only team in the era was the only team that won Super Bowl as a wild card. So
did we win the division on our second one? I mean, on the third Super Bowl? I don't know. I have to look that up.
Actually, you know what? You're right.
I don't think we won there. I think it was a wild card.
Seahawks won the division.
Yeah,
when they won the division. Yeah, we were a wild card.
Question my history now.
I know we're the first team to win a wild card Super Bowl. I didn't say we're the last, but
so we were the first, and then then we did it again. We just piled it on. So points. Wait, where'd I go? I lost that. So completion and attempts. 515 for the season, 340 completed. Teams against us had 524. That's not a bad difference, right? Completed 359. That's not really bad either. So this horrible defense and this team that their record at 3 and 15, bless you, at 3 and 14, defies their season this year, and we have to, I keep saying it was coaching, man. It was coaching. It was coaching and bad situations from both sides of the ball, putting your other team in bad positions constantly.
Well, the completion ratio is misconstrued because you got to look at it. Anytime you throw a ball out there, it's completion. So you can throw a 1 yard pass. That counts as a completion.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
did the completion matter? Was it a touchdown? Was it a first down? No. There was a lot of like because I remember a few times I remember watching all season last year, suffering through the madness that Geno Smith made completion, but it's always 2-3 yards short of first down.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Mr. Chris, because looking at our 340 completions, I would venture to say, without looking at the stats, that probably 150 of them were behind the line of scrimmage.
There you go.
You know,
Exactly.
like I mean, you look at the attempts that Genty got, and the screenplays that Tucker got, and the just so many of those short
I
passing
remember,
yards that 5 yards are behind the line of scrimmage.
I remember third down. It was the third. I forgot. It was they brought Light. They brought Lock in there. Just went through it for the first down. He was open. He threw the ball to him. Caught a 2 yard short of the first down. I said, "What the? Could you like take another step forward, maybe get the first down?" No, he was short of the first
Dive, dive, twist,
down.
jump,
He
turn.
got the ball and fell out of bounds. Like then now it's fourth down. That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. He
that's
might have caught the ball for a completion, but did it matter? No, because we still had to punt the ball,
football
or went on fourth
awareness.
down and lost that. So
So what's the next one? Net passing yards. We netted 2,851 for the season. Man, that's not Aiden O'Connell could have put up another 1,000. I'm just saying. But to not even 3,000, 2,851 teams against us, our opponents, average 3,417.
damn.
That's 600 yards net difference.
Well,
That is bad. But if you look at yards per attempt, we had 6.4. Our opponents on this bad defense that everybody says held opponents to 6.9. I mean,
there you go.
that's respectable.
Right.
That's respectable. Net passing yards per game. We averaged 167.7. Teams against only 201. Now, this goes back to what I was saying earlier of why we lost so many games. Interceptions, short field, short field, short field. They're scoring these points in the short field because they're not netting the yards a game. They're not netting the rushing yards a game. We held opponents to 116 yards a game. That was, sixth or seventh in the NFL. So the defense was doing their job. The fact that they were out there constantly is a problem. And then the short, the short situations that they're constantly put in was horrible. So holding teams to, net yards per game at 201 when we got blown out by the Chiefs 31-0, when we got blown out to the Eagles 31-0, and to still have it at 201, that says a lot for what these guys were doing, and
Yeah. Well,
the players we got, and now you add the speed of Traden Stukes, you add the speed of Nakobe Dean, and the speed of Quay Walker, and the speed of Gerard McCoy and Dalton Johnson, and you
and
could
don't Zeke Masters. I mean,
and Zeke Masses, and you
our
could put
defense, our defense,
Teron
our
Teron
defense.
Johnson.
I guess I said earlier, our defense was not the problem last year. Our defense sucked. Not really. We did have some spots we had to refill, like the linebacker core and maybe a couple of linemen. But the main thing was the cornerback and safety. They addressed that issue. And I say, other than that, the defense wasn't really that bad because you have Powell playing out position. He's a strong safety, not a free safety. We got that in the draft. It wasn't defense. Defense, like I said, defense average was in the middle of the pack. We were at 15 to 17. We was in the middle of the pack. We weren't like 30th like we were in the offensive line. So what the defense that did, it was the offense like defense did. Hey, look, we got the ball back for you. Get some damn points. No, we going to throw an interception. So what the defense, they did what they had to do. Even though Matt Scobsey was hurt playing, and we had no help on the other side, the linebackers couldn't tackle besides Devin White. Amon-Ra was 90 tackles. That's a shame. I'll be ashamed of that. So it wasn't that. It's the point that offense didn't take the ball down the field and do a long little 5-minute drive and get a touchdown. Give defense a breather. Let them rest. Let them do some Gatorade. Let them relax. Let them talk to their coach about what they did last time. We didn't get that chance. This this year, I think it's gonna be a lot different. You know, whoever's starting quarterback, Aiden O'Connell or Kirk Cousins or Mendoza, it doesn't matter. We got two good running backs, like you said earlier. You talking about White? I mean, Washington. You talking about him earlier. We got two good running backs. Super chat. There you go. This
Thank
is
you
our
for the
year.
super chat. Appreciate for the $2. Holla, this is our year. Why
Yeah,
not? Why not us? Why not us? You know what I'm saying? Why
yeah.
not us?
So so I'm excited to see what we got. I'm not going to be overexcited like we're going to the playoffs. Yeah, well, if we do, great. If we don't, oh
Yeah,
well. Let's see better football.
yeah, you definitely have to play better football to even have a chance to sniff the playoffs or to be in that talks. But anything could happen. I feel like the Chiefs are on a downslide. I've been saying that for 2 years. The record last year showed they were on a downslide, right? And everybody was like, "Oh, you're crazy. The Chiefs are going to win the division." Well, guess what? They didn't win the division. They were 6-11. The Broncos won the division. Like I said, they were going to win the division. The Chargers were second. I figured we'd be third. But we didn't. We didn't. We didn't end up in there. I was wrong on that one, but the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't know, man. Like Andy Reid, you can only run the same thing so many times until teams try to catch on. And we've seen how that worked with Pete Carroll coming to the Raiders and trying to
It's
trying to do the
over. It's over.
trying to do the same thing that he's done his whole career, and it just didn't work. So Patrick Mahomes not being able to be mobile, if he's not able to be mobile, which coming off of first year ACL, you're not going to be the lateral move is not going to be the same. You have to be a
Well,
pocket guy.
they
So
did get Justin Fields, so we know that's going to look like.
and yeah, and if you have to play Justin Fields, then I mean, come on, we're good to go there.
Well, yeah, you know, look like he's gonna look one way and then run. That's what he's gonna do. Look one,
Yeah,
run.
yeah,
So we know what that look like. As long as we got linebackers and safeties and about their tackles, ass, we're good. Um, the Chiefs are on a downslide. I think they'd be a little better than we were last year, but I don't think it'll be that much better because they brought back being enemy, which tells me one thing: Andy Reid's about ready to go. I think he's getting out of here. I think they're gonna make being enemy. I don't know if they're gonna make him next head coach, but I'm saying he's getting them ready to be next head coach if they decide to go that direction. So why bring him back now? You had him before. No, why bring him back now? Because I think Andy Reid's like, I'm tired of this. I'm out of here. That's what I'm
right,
thinking.
right. I wouldn't be surprised. It's you've had your run, you've had a good time. There's no reason to
Yeah,
no reason to keep grinding it out. His health hasn't been the same over the last couple years, so he's had problems, and so we'll see how that goes. But that would
yeah.
be nice.
You want to go out like you won this many Super Bowls with your team, and then your last years with them, you guys won 1-16. You don't want to go out like that.
And he might be that guy. He might be that guy that wants to stay in it and thinking that he still has the team with the with what they did in the off season and to compete and win one more and go out that way maybe. But I think you got a lot tough sledding with a quarterback that's not going to be able to be himself for a while.
Yeah,
Um, so passing touchdowns, man. Um,
10.
this is what for the season we had 20. That's not right.
Yeah, it is because Genty caught 5. Meyer, not Myers. Tucker caught 5. That's 10. Barbaros, I think, caught what 2 or 4.
I
Don't
think
remember.
I think he had 5 or 6. I'll look that up in a second. But
Yeah,
it says 20 for us, and we held teams to 23, which I don't know how that's right. ESPN, that might not be right. This is the big one. This is another laughable one. So we gave up 64 sacks for a total of a whopping 464 yards. Our opponents, we only sacked them 37 times for a whopping 227. That is over 200-yard difference. Over 200-yard difference. That's the difference in maybe 5 games. You know what I mean? We had some of those close games, right? That 464 yards lost, or even the 223 yards difference, is could have been the difference in a couple of games for our season this year. I feel like It's just horrible.
Well, you gotta look at what happened. We had Max Crosby, who was barely, he's playing on one leg all season long. We had no inside pressure. We had the other side where they didn't decide who was going to play that side. They get putting different guys in there, like make your mind up. Put somebody in there. The inside pressure. Linebackers wouldn't do anything. They wasn't blitzing. Then in the backfield, the only person that did anything was Stokes. You know why Stokes was so good? Because they wouldn't throw at Stokes. They threw at the other guy, Blue Kelly, and the tight ends going to the middle. So like, Nick, oh, they coming in. Let's dump it off to this guy because he's open because this guy's going to cover. So, you know, now we got guys who can cover, and we'll see.
Right there. Now, we'll see, man. We'll see. Jamal McCoy gets out there. I feel like that's a huge difference maker. Akeem Masters just, coming in on nickel and dime packages or whatever, I think is going to be a huge difference because if you look at the drop off last year when we had to run those packages, which they didn't, go out of cover three very often, but when we had to run those packages, it was just absolutely horrible. Interceptions, 19 for us, 8 for our opponents.
We do 19 interceptions.
Yeah.
Dino's got all of them, 17.
And we got 8. We got 8.
Yeah, I think Cowboy had like 2 or 3 or 4. I don't know. Yeah, a couple of lucky ones.
Now,
Because I guys went ball hawks. That said they wouldn't throw it. They wouldn't throw at Stokes. They'll throw at Cowboy Kelly and Paul and Paul. That's what he threw to because they couldn't cover shit.
right?
So,
Just throw it at him. Now, this is a big one, right? Because Ashton Genty, he gets a lot of talk. He had 260 carries or whatever it is, 260 something carries, right? He didn't get the yards, the offensive line, whatever, the strategy, the scheme, all of that. But rushing attempts, Genty had 260 plus. I want to say 266 for some reason, but 260 plus. The Raiders only had 369 rushing attempts. He's almost all of their rushing attempts. Now, teams against us had 511.
damn,
511.
that's more than half. That's about half. More than half.
That's just freakish.
That's crazy.
So when you have a team that has 3 running backs that are getting multiple carries a game, it takes the load off your number one back, and it opens up holes when he's in there to have those big plays, over 20 yards, like a lot of running backs did that didn't have to play, 99% of the snaps or whatever Ashton Genty's number was, but it was crazy. So yards.
Who do you have as backup? We had Grandpa Mozart.
But
We had I can't run for my life. I got Seaman feet, Zamir White. Then can't hold the ball lobby. So we had those 3 guys behind Genty. So who was going to run behind Genty? Concrete feet, old man, or I can't hold the ball. None of the guys did anything. So Genty had to carry the workload. They refused to draft. Are you frozen or am I frozen? You there? Yeah, I think you froze. Okay. Anybody chat hear me or see? Hello? Oh, it's yeah. See. Okay. You say you can give him a sec. Yeah, so if you look at it, I don't know if you guys hear me or not, but you give us we had no running back room. None. We had nobody to back up Genty. Now we have some running backs in the room. We got that guy Washington, they Hemby, and a couple of guys. So Genty running 90% of the time is not going to be there. He'll get his yards, but he's not going to get all the carries. So I think that although Genty ran for almost 1,000 yards, took him a lot to do it. But I think it'd be a lot better. He'll probably get his one his G this year, or maybe more. But I think Genty gonna be more involved in the pass again than it was last year. Um, I'm waiting for Rebel to come back. I don't know what happened, but there he is.
Can you hear me? Can you see
Yeah,
me?
there you go. Yeah,
Bro, my whole internet just went down. I don't know what happened.
I'll say.
And
I'll say.
somehow you kept playing because I could hear it, but my whole thing
I
just
was saying
crashed.
you were saying something. You're like,
Yeah, I was like, man, and I could hear you. I could type in the chat and everything. It's just I totally vanished. So I don't
That's
know. That's pretty crazy.
yeah. So we're talking about the running backs. I was saying what we had. We had concrete feet. I can't hold the ball, and oh man, fine.
And, well, I heard what you were saying, but Raheem Mostert, right? He averaged like 4.3 or 4.6 a carry. I want to say, he
Yeah,
just
he did.
they just didn't give him the ball. Like he got yards when he got the ball. They just
Yeah,
wouldn't give it to him. They
he wasn't
wanted,
in the game a
you know,
lot of times.
they came out with Chip Kelly saying that, oh, we're not gonna beat the hell out of Ashton Genty early in the season, right? We want to bring him along slowly. But you had Dylan Lobby back there. You had Chris Collier that you could have brought in and given some reps as well. But they put the load all on Genty when they said they weren't going to do it. And I thought that was just you can't win in the NFL with one running back. I don't care who you are. Saquon Barkley has sits out and teams come in and the players come in and run. He has two running backs that had decent amount of carries last year. Same thing with Jonathan Taylor. He's in there like 90%, but he has two running backs that spell him. So they come in. It's a different change of pace, a little bit faster, a little bit smaller, right? Can get skinny through the hole. And the Raiders don't have that. So now we went and got a Mike Washington,
They didn't have that. Yeah, they didn't
Rom,
have that.
Roman Himby, Dylan Labe. I mean, now we got a coach that's willing to give these guys opportunities. I feel like, but
Well, look who we had in Seattle. Who do he have? He had Kenneth Walker and what's the other guy name? Chardonnay.
Charbonnet.
Charbonnet. Those gonna tell you Charbonnet really got hurt, but they ran constantly because sometimes you know who's in the backfield. Like, oh, they got Charbonnet in right now. Oh, they got Walker in right now, and that's what they're gonna do now. Jensen's gonna be the main guy. Don't get me wrong, he's gonna be the main dude. But there's gonna be certain time where Jensen's not gonna be in there. Certain plays that he's gonna run, certain things he's gonna do, certain downs. That's why they got Walker. Now they said Walker, well, he's not a good running back between tackles. You're in Arkansas, man. You saw him between tackles. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
You saw Washington between tackles, right?
yeah. He's a lot of his big plays were, um, honestly, inside the numbers. They were in the A and B gaps. He was hitting those gaps and making players miss. And I heard a lot of people say, he don't have that he don't have the vision. He doesn't. He's just a one cut and go. But the film says different. I was at a couple of live games in Arkansas, so I got to see him play live, and
Right.
you could hear that dude run. Like, you can hear him. You can hear him running from the bleachers. It's like the man is fast. So yeah, and his vision is there. They had a okay offensive line. It wasn't great. I think they had two guys that got drafted late in the rounds. The guard, I forget his name, but that was the main guy he ran through. And when he ran behind him, he always had that little first jump cut, and then show patience, like slow to the hole, fast through the hole. So it's going to be different. It's going to be different in the NFL, but with our offensive line being better, I think it's going to be he's going to have a decent season. I don't know if he's 500-600 yard season. It depends on how many carries or how they break him in, but it's definitely going to be a change of pace.
Well, he's gonna play in that run zone, that wide zone run. That's what he's gonna play in, which means you got to be able to cut and see the hole. And for when I watch his film highlights and everything else, I see him make one cut and gone. Because I think once you get to that second level, nobody's going to tackle him. For one thing, he's fast. Another thing is a big boy.
Yeah, he'll run you over. He ain't afraid to run you over.
Yeah, he's a big boy. So I seen cornerbacks in Arkansas bounce off of him. So once they make that cut, that's it. Just got to make that cut. So they play the outside run zone it was going to be catered to him.
Yeah, and I feel like you get coached a little bit more in the NFL, you know, in the off season and the preseason. You know, these guys are higher level. They're gonna have you change things like they tried to do with Genty and his stance.
I think that was a problem last year because I think Chip Kelly was pissed off at Genty. That's why he doomed him. Because remember when Chip Kelly was there, he wouldn't let Genty run the ball at all. Genty could have 1,000 yards if Chip Kelly called running plays, but he stopped doing it because he was pissed off.
Yeah, it's when he called the running plays. Like most of Genty's carries came late in the season when the season was already done, right? The
Yeah,
teams are like, we know what you're gonna do. You're not gonna pass the ball because your quarterback can't throw it without throwing an interception. Your number one target in Brock Bowers is hurt, so we don't have to double him. And now we can just focus all our attention on your running back.
yeah. Well, when they fired Chip Kelly, that's when Genty got more runs.
Yeah,
You
they got rid
noticed,
of
right?
Jacoby Myers. I mean, so you didn't have Jacoby blocking for you.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm looking forward to the season. I'm not expecting much. People say, what's your win prediction? Ain't no win prediction. I want to see better football. I just want to see us compare because there were a lot of games last year we could have won if we had a better offensive play calling. There's a lot of games we could have won. There's a lot of games we should have won in the beginning and lost at the
Yeah,
end. So it's play calling. People go, I'm gonna do it my way and that's it. Type thing. It
I
might work
think
in the past, but it ain't working now.
I feel a lot of people forget, you know, like good football leads to wins, right? It leads to good things happening. So everybody said, you know, I'm not worried about the wins loss, but our motto is just win, baby. It's not just wait, baby. It's not just rebuild, baby, right? It's not take your time, baby, or rockabye, baby.
Right.
It's just win, baby. So go out there and win some games and get some kind of a rhythm and some confidence in this team, and they could be scary. I mean, this defense, if you're looking at it on paper, and some of these corners, you know, that we drafted, like McCoy gets to be out there and play, and Hezekiah Massis, and you know, if Traden Stukes ends up taking that job from day one, you know, as that safety spot, this defense could be top 10 or better. I mean, you still have Max Crosby. Like, look what our defense did without the players around Max for the last 8 years, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you have guys on cheap deals and rookie deals like Nate Hobbs and, you know, Divine Diablo, and there wasn't really too many leaders. It was all Max Crosby that was the leader. So if Max was upset or Max wasn't having a good game, right, you're not boosting the guys around you because you're in your feelings, because you're trying to focus on your greatness, and now you got guys like Thomas Booker that says he wants that role, right? I feel like I'm, you know, my second year, I could take that leader role. Guys are asking me questions. They're looking up to me, right? You have Jeremy Chin that said, you know, the one thing that Kubiak preaches is he wants leaders on the field, right? Not just one guy. He wants leaders, and he said, you know, that's me. That's what I want that job. I cherish taking on that role. I've been waiting for the opportunity to do that. So when you get
But
guys in the building like a Jeremy Chin that has been waiting for the opportunity, Quay Walker said the same thing. Finally, I'm at a system where they can use me in different ways. Like
the,
I want to be right. You
the,
hear
the
all these
memory.
guys saying, you
Well,
know, I'm
Kieran, when they just drafted, what did he say? He said, I'm in Max Crosby's back pocket. I'm watching him doing everything he's doing, practicing everything else, because I do not want to be like Max Crosby. I want to be better than Max Crosby. You got guys like that in the building, so that tells you something. These guys are ready. They're hungry. They're ready to do something. I like who they brought in. Everybody quick, because I got to go in a minute. I got to start getting ready for dinner. Got to start cooking dinner. But I like what they're doing. They're bringing in guys who want to be a Raider.
yeah, guys don't want to be here.
They're not bringing guys in, this. Like I said, that Ayuk stuff. I hear like, well, should get Ayuk. No. He don't want to be a Raider. He want to be a commander. No. Guys who wants to be a Raider. Because you signed some of the top 15 linebackers in the league. They didn't trade for them. They came here. There's only one person that we had that we traded for, and that was excuse me, what's his name? That Nickelback. What's his name?
To Teron Johnson.
John Johnson. I think it's Richardson. Yeah, that's the only player we traded for. Everybody else is like they came in on free will, or we drafted him.
And we got him at a steal like everybody else. You know, we got him at a steal. He's a top 5 elite slot guy in this league, and he has been for the Buffalo Bills for a long time when
Yeah.
healthy. So they let him go because they couldn't afford to pay him, and
Right.
we got him on his contract, and now he's got to earn a contract here. So if he does, that's just better for us. But I feel like if he stays healthy, man, and you got a guy like Jeremy Chin that, like I said, these guys want to be leaders. They want to take on that role. Eric Stokes said, I've been waiting for this opportunity, right? I wanted to be that guy where I'm telling the young guys what's going on. I'm putting the guys in the right place. I'm showing them how to be, that guy on and off the field. And you have those guys in the building that we haven't had in a long time, man.
No.
It's been a long time. It's been a bunch of selfish, high paid, overpaid free agents like Christian Wilkins, trading for guys like Devontae Adams who, worked out well, but they just they pissed them off and it didn't turn out working out well. But it's never worked. We don't bring in those guys that gel with the culture, with Raider Nation. And when you have so many guys that are bought in and loving what Clint Kubiak is teaching, what Robbie Leonard is teaching, you know, the difference, the different areas that they get to play, the different style that they get to play, that all leads to success. So going back to what I was saying, like you just want to be better and, show production, right? Show competition every single game, but that leads to wins, right? If you're in those close games consistently, eventually, something's got to break and you got to turn that corner. So
Yeah.
I'm good with that, man. As long as we're decent and we're not getting blown out 31-0. But there's gonna be
Yeah.
some games where
Yeah.
stuff happens, injury happens, whatever, and coaches get out coached because we're playing 6 of the top 10 coaches in the NFL
Right.
this year.
Yeah.
Six
If
six
you're
of the top.
if you're in a game and the game been close all the way through the end, and they haven't had the ball last, they can feel beating to win the game. Look, we was in the game, but they have to get the last field goal to win the game. So be it. But when the game's over at halftime already, that's when I get pissed off. What do you mean? It's 26-0 at halftime. What do you mean? It's 14-0 in the fourth quarter, or 14-3 in the fourth quarter, and there's only 5 minutes left. That's the kind of games I don't want to see anymore. I want to see games like I said, there's like 4 games we could have won last year, but we didn't because of bad play calling.
Yep. Are being outcoached. There was a lot of games that we should have won, and we were just outcoached by the opponents because nobody was on the same page on our team, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody trying to do pulling each other different ways. It just doesn't work like that. So
Right.
yeah, I agree 100%. But man, I'll let you get off here. I know you gotta go cook dinner and got things to do. I appreciate you pulling up
I
anytime
just
you want
want,
to pull
I just
back
want,
up.
I just want to holler at you right quick because I was watching you. I said, man, I ain't been on a minute. I'm coming back pretty soon, probably a couple of weeks. Just want to take
Yeah,
a break from this madness and all this
yeah.
trade talk about getting a number one receiver. Like, yeah, we don't need one. We got receivers.
Yeah, I think we have a problem with receivers that people aren't looking at. We have a bunch of young guys that are going to go somewhere else. And mark my words, write down those names that I told you, and I'll give you those names before I end this live. But write down these names because they're going to go somewhere and they're going to be football players. Like the
Cedric
guys that we,
Jackson.
yep, we're going to lose some guys that are going to go somewhere and you're going to be like, damn, I wish they would have listened to Rebel.
Like we always do. We all let guys go and they go somewhere else and just break out. But that's
and
that's the right way.
we have that problem. I think in the in the corner room, I feel like we have that problem on the defensive line. Right, there's a lot of guys like Trevin May that's being overlooked, and Tonka Hemingway, Pagese, like even Jafari Harvey, and then Cyan Sloan. Like
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of guys that are going to end up going somewhere else, and if you put them on the practice squad, they're not going to stick around very long.
Well, it's a good problem to have. Finally, we got people like well, we can't let them go, but it's a good problem to have that they can play somewhere else. They can play here too.
It's a great problem to have, but it's not if you don't make the right decision.
I think they will.
Right? If you take the wrong guys, right? Or if you take guys just because where they were drafted, and you don't want to lose them because it's only their first year. Or,
I'm gonna say this last part. Last year, Spytek wasn't really running the team the way he wanted to run the team. I think it was Pete Carroll. I've been in low with you, young man. This is what I'm going to do. I think it was Pete Carroll was running the team more than Spytek was. Spytek
oh
is Pete Carroll's boss.
yeah, that was a given.
So this year, Spytag is taking full reins. He hired the coach. He did draft picks. He asked each one of his coaches, defense, offense, and special teams, who do you need? What do we need? Coach, we need a quarterback. Got him. Coach, we need some DBs. Got him. Then offseason, we need linebackers. Got him. So he's running a team what the coaches need. Last year he didn't. Pete Carroll ran what I want. Okay, you want these guys, but why are you not playing them? It makes no sense to me. But anyway, hey man, thanks for having me on, brother. Stay tuned, you guys. I'll be back shortly. It was nice chatting with you. And Rebel, I'll hit you up later, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. We'll do this again. Appreciate you.
No problem.
Let the people know where to find you in case they don't know.
Find me at Chris Ford Raiders Podcast. Just hit me up. We're gonna start our cover 3 show back again pretty soon. We're just taking a break and then talk about I hate rumors. So I'm not even talking about rumors. So yeah, Chris Ford Raiders, you guys know me. Some of you guys love me, some of you don't. I don't care.
Nah, we all love you, Chris.
All right, man. Thanks again, man. I'll talk to you guys later.
Shout out, my brother. Have a good one.
All right.
Peace. All right, family. They're going to take these damn headphones off. Oh, it's crushing my ears. My poor ears. Ouch. All the times you pull my ears. Yeah, all the times. Oh, my God. All right, so, yeah, shout out to everybody in the building. I appreciate the kind words, always keeping the vibe right. I appreciate you, even though I might go into a little bit too much of detail for some people. But there are some people that come in here that don't really understand football or watch football. They just come in here for the vibes, like you said. So they like me explaining, and some don't. But, it is what it is. It's to each his own. Shout out for the $2 holla. Raiders. Y'all can dip if you want, but I'm not done yet. I got some more. You love it. Appreciate it. All right, so we'll get to the last little bit. Total offensive plays. This is the big one. Right? Total offensive plays. The Raiders ran 948 offensive plays. Our opponents ran 1,072. 72. That is 128 more plays than we ran during the season. Total yards, we were at 4,632. Our opponents were at 5,630. That's a big difference. Big discrepancy. Your car slid off the road. What? Are you good? Are you okay? Should pay attention. Don't be driving in storms. Stay safe. You're losing too many people around here lately. I don't like it. Where am I at? Yeah. So yards per game. We averaged 269 yards per game. Our opponents averaged 330. In the kickoff return, total kick yards, we had a whopping 1,084. Yes, that is whopping, right? Our opponents on 68 attempts, I guess we had more attempts than a lot of people. Seems like on 68 attempts, we had 1,884 total kickoffs. Wait, is that kickoffs? Our opponents, 47, had 1,317. There's a big difference. Kickoff return average 28 for our opponents, 27 for 27 for us. So a lot of people, there's been a lot of talks about our special teams were bad. I think our special teams were just bad at wrong moments, right? Short field again, just like our defense. When you got short fields and you're kicking the ball off on our 10-yard line and they're receiving the ball right on their 45 or our 45, and they only got to take, make 10 yards to get into field goal range. That's happened many, many games last year. Even though we have a great kicker, when you're kicking from the 10-yard line or the 15-yard line, even a 70-yard punt, Still sets the opposing team up for good field position, right? Total punts. Golly, this is pathetic. Pathetic. This is pathetic. 29 for 173. Our opponents had 33 for 400. Golly. 400? What is this? That's no way. Some of these stats, that's just insane. That is too much of a discrepancy. You could not win games like this. All right. Damn. Return. Average punt return yards for the season. The Raiders averaged 12.1. Our opponents only 6. You heard me. You heard me. Only 6. Our opponents averaged 6 yards per punt return. Now, I think some of those went for big yardage. I think we were blasted on a couple, but it wasn't a lot. But on a very high clip, they weren't getting nothing on punt returns. So special teams, shout out to the special teams unit out there doing their thing. And now we're just bigger, stronger, and faster. We have a bunch of rookies that running into 4.3s that will be put on the special team unit. And it should just get better as we go. Interceptions. We had 8 for 63 yards, man. We got 8 interceptions. We only gained 63 yards. Our opponents pulled 19 off of us for 226 yards. All these numbers are going to change drastically. I'm telling you. With better coaching, with coaches on the same page, with coaches that get along, with coaches that aren't worried about other coaches trying to take other coaches' jobs. You know what I mean? It works better. It works better, right? Average interceptions yards was 7.9 for us, 11.9 for opponents. Kicking net yards, right? We averaged 39, opponents 32. Total yards, we only had 400 yards off of kickoff returns, and our opponents had 739 yards. That's 330 yards more off of punt returns. So, what was I reading? Those are, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. 22 for 27 on field goals, and our opponents were 30 for 33. We had 17 touchbacks. Our opponents had 23. Now, this is where I think we improve next year or this year, right? This year. Penalty yards. We had 108 penalties for 901 yards. Ouch. Ouch. 108 penalties for 901 yards. That's a ridiculous that's 53 per game. 53 yards per game we averaged on penalties. That could be the difference in a game right there. That could have been a difference in a Chicago game and a Jacksonville game. Our opponents, they had 118 penalties for 895 yards. So our opponents averaged 10 more penalties a game than us, but less yardage. So the penalties weren't as significant, right? They weren't 15-yard penalties getting blown for guys playing after the whistle. They weren't, interceptions. They weren't holding calls. And then time of possession, right? My guy, I think Frank Weber said time of possession is what killed the Las Vegas Raiders. Take a guess at how different the time of progression discrepancy was. Let me know in the chat. I'll give you all a second while I take this drink, but let me know. Do you think it was 10 minutes? Do you think it was 5 minutes? You think it was 4 minutes? You think it was 15 minutes? 5 minutes. Candy Angel is pretty dadgum close. Pretty dadgum close. It is 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Time of possession difference. The Raiders possessed the ball 28 minutes and 2 seconds. Our opponents had it 32 minutes and 31 seconds. Now, a lot of people keep alluding to the fact that our defense was on the field more than our offense. And some games they were, right? 31-0 or 0-31, however you want to look at it, right? Against the Chiefs, 0-31 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Those games are going to have very significant effects on the stats and the results of the stats. However, they didn't. They didn't. So our defense was not on the field as much as people think. It was pretty even, right? Time of possession per game, 28 minutes. Opponents, 32-31. Fumbles lost. Man, we had 12 fumbles. We lost 4. Our opponents against had 18 fumbles and lost 8. Turnover ratio, -7-7. A 7-point swing. 14-point swing, -7-7, right? A 14-point swing in turnover ratio. And this, my friend, is where the Raiders lost a lot of games. Turnover ratio. Interceptions by your quarterback. It wasn't all the offensive line. It was a deflated offensive line who drives down the field 70 yards and your quarterback throws an interception in the red zone. A deflated team where your defense gets a turnover. They give you the ball inside the 40 on their side of the field, and you turn the ball over with an interception. These little things suck the life out of NFL players, college players, high school players. It is frustrating as hell if you have ever played organized sports to have somebody make a mistake when everybody else is clicking, right? That is the most annoying thing there is. And people start to point fingers. People start to get very upset and say words that they probably shouldn't say, right? But I feel this is the biggest thing and the biggest problem we had last year. Turnover ratio, -7-7. That is too big of a swing. Everything else, except for passing yards and total yards, which are going to change with Clint Kubiak, are pretty damn good. They are pretty damn good. Now, 2024. I'm not going to go through all of them. Not going to go through all of them. But with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew instead of Geno Smith and Pete Carroll and Brendan Carroll, the Raiders still gave up 25.5 a game. Last year, it was 25.4. But instead of averaging 14.2 a game, they averaged 18.2. Now, they averaged 18.2 without a 6th-round pick in Ashton Genty. With guys like Amir Abdullah, Zamir White, and Alexander Madison running the football. Total points. Big, big difference. 309 to only 434. Last year, 241 to 432. Our defense, even with the struggles, we're still right there. Right? Total yards per game. Oh, first downs. Instead of 250 to 400, it was 310 to 323. A lot of games we should have won last year, 2024. That should have went our way. Quarterback turnovers is why they didn't. Passing yards. Net yards last year were what? Hold on, let me double check. I don't want to be wrong. I hate being wrong. If y'all don't know that already. Net passing yard, total net passing yards with Geno Smith, a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, or top 10, who a lot of people said Geno was top 10, top 5, right? Last year, we averaged net passing yards 2,851. In 2024, with Gardner Minshew making $30 million, or making $20 million less than what Geno Smith made for his season with Pete Carroll, we averaged 3,797 yards. We averaged 1,000 yards more in 2024 with the guy that everybody wanted fired in Luke Getsy and the Turners, right? This offense is horrible. They can't do anything. They can't run the ball. But the offensive line was better. The running backs were bad. We had the receivers, at least 2 of them. We got rid of 2 of them. We didn't have any, right? So, yards per attempt were higher. Net passing yards per game were higher. We only gave up 216 instead of 255 this year. Defense was better. This team in 2024 with Antonio Pierce was better all around than with Pete Carroll. Now, people hated on Antonio Pierce. A lot of people wanted AP fired. There was a couple times after some dumbass comments he made that I wanted him fired too. But, man, I was a firm believer in AP. If he got a chance, 2-3 years could turn his team around. And if you look at these numbers right here, and I'm going to put them up just to show y'all real quick. It will flash through them. Well, if you look at these numbers right here. Oh, that's the wrong numbers. Don't look at those ones. Shit. Which one is this? Las Vegas Raiders. All right. I got too many things pulled up. Sorry, I didn't know which one it was. It is the Las Vegas Raiders 2024. If you look at these numbers, and shout out to 11 people in the building. I see you. But y'all don't see this. I got you. Hold up. I got you. Let's change that with that. Aha. Okay, a little better. Damn, can y'all see that? Because I cannot see that. I cannot see that. Hold on. Let's try this one. All right. Here we go. So, 2024, man. Total yards 3,900 or 3,797. 2000 last year, 2025, we didn't even get 3,000. It was 2,800. Sacks, we only gave up 50 in 2024 with the offensive line we had, who had an injured Colton Miller and an injured JPJ, had backups that played better than Stone Forsythe, Alex Kappa in 2025, who gave up 64 sacks. Rushing attempts, 380. That's 7 less attempts than last year. Pretty close to the same, but you had 3 running backs to get 357 yards or 1,357 yards. 2025, we had, oh, it did change. Nice. That works. 369, 1,317 yards. But we gave up 500 more. So, man, huge difference. Kickoff return yards better than last year's in 2000, or better than last year's, right? Pretty much everything in 2024. Our defensive rankings, our offensive rankings, our yards per attempt, our turnover ratio. What's the turnover ratio? Let's go back to the bottom. Oh, shit. Minus 16 to 16. Okay, that wasn't as. Damn, we had that many turnovers last year? We had less this year? Minus 7 to 7? Fumbles lost. What? We had 18 fumbles last year in 2024 and lost 13. Time of possession, right? Raider fans, content creators all said the same thing. Oh, this defense was on the field too much. They can't breathe. And that was the case in some games. Some games, you come back out, get a turnover, you're right back out there. But time of possession, we had the ball 29 minutes and 20 seconds. Our opponents had the ball 30 minutes and 39 seconds. So it kind of averages out. Now, I know, like I said, it differs per game, but it kind of averages out. Kind of averages out. All right, let's stop sharing that. All right, man. 2 hours and 6 minutes. We pulled through. I appreciate everyone being in the building. Let me get through these questions. Jack Kenna, I see you. What's good, my brother? 40 to 20. Don't count all the penalties, just dumb penalties. Yeah, just the big dumb penalties. You got to count the dumb ones because penalties are going to happen, right? But the unnecessary, the dumb ones, the hitting people out of bounds, the, tackling people to the ground after the whistle, the late hits, the roughing the quarterback penalties that we had too many of last year. Those hurt the worst, man. Those hurt the worst. Those hurt the worst. Definitely not overhyped. Being that we don't know who's going to be the go-to besides 89. It's saying we don't have threats in the wide receiver room as of yet, but Jalen Naylor can be a legit 3, maybe a 2, but we need that number 1 dog. Go back and watch the beginning of the show, my brother. I don't know how long you've been here or if you were here the whole time, but go back and watch the beginning because we broke it down, right? There were 19 teams, or there were 19 players that had over 1,000 yards last year. Out of those 19 players, there was only 7 that made the playoffs. There was 15 teams that had over 3,500 yards. Less than half, less than 25% of those teams made the playoffs. So my point about the video was paying guys like Justin Jefferson $36 million, are paying guys like Jamar Chase $25-30 million, and then playing guys like Higgins $25-30 million. That's $50 million a season. When teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars made the playoffs and they didn't have 1,000-yard receiver, right? You look at the Patriots and how many Super Bowls they won without having 1,000-yard receiver that wasn't a tight end. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs and how many rings they have without having that number 1 wide receiver, but they had a number 1 tight end. And those number 1 tight ends aren't the tight end we got, in my opinion. We got a way better tight end. Future better tight end. So that's just my point. That's my point, right? You can have those guys, and yes, but you don't need that number 1 dog. Seattle didn't have that number 1 dog in JSN. They were hoping that he might be, right? He had 1,000-yard season the year before with DK and Lockett and all those guys in the building with Geno throwing in the ball. They were hoping he was. It was Clint Kubiak that unlocked that dude and got him 169 targets, threw the ball to him 170 times, right? And if you're throwing the ball 170 times and you don't have over 1,000 yards, you shouldn't even be in the NFL. You shouldn't even sniff the NFL. So my whole point to the video was, do you need that number one veteran wide receiver? And I say no. I say no, you don't. You can have a group of guys like the Jacksonville Jaguars did with Jacoby Myers. With yes, they have a first round pick, and that was hurt in Brian Thomas Jr. Right, and then Parker. You look what Parker Washington did. Those three guys plus a group of another three wide receivers, another tight end, and two running backs. They were tops in the NFL in yards per game, right? Without having that number one wide receiver. They also had Trevor Lawrence, who threw the ball at a 60% completion ratio. That's bottom of the NFL. I mean, damn, Aiden O'Connell's through his career is 64, right? So you have a quarterback that's completing less than 60% of his passes on a team that doesn't have a wide receiver. They traded for Jacoby Myers in the middle of the year. You know, that helped them out. But they made the playoffs, right? The Patriots, like I said, the Chiefs, like I said, all these teams have won Super Bowl after Super Bowl without having that number one overpaid, high-paid wide receiver. Subscribe to the channel now. Show some love. Yes, like, subscribe, hit them likes. Man, there's been like a couple hundred people that ran through here, and the likes are not even close. So if you're vibing with the vibe, you're picking up what I'm putting down, show some love, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. I got a bunch of people that keep messaging me. Yo, I just found this channel. I didn't know I was subscribed. So do me a favor when you get off here, or even right now, click on your YouTube. If you're subscribed to the channel, cool. I appreciate you. Much love. If you're not and you like the channel, well, damn, think about subscribing. Raider Nation Jason in the building. Y'all go check out him as well. Raider Ryan in the building. What's good, my brother? Just got off work. So say, how about y'all? Nice, my brother Kenna. Brian in the building. I'm trying to figure out how freaking my channels. So what channels you have? What do you mean? I only have one channel, bro. It's one channel. It's Raiders Unleashed. I did change the name today to A Raiders Unleashed because there's another Raider fan that has the name, or used to be the name, Rebel Raiders, Rebel Raider, right? Without an S, no S's, Rebel Raider. Now, my name was Raiders with the S, Raiders Rebel. Then I changed it to the Raiders Rebel, and it seems like his name is now the Rebel Raider. So I mixed it up. I changed it to A Raiders Rebel. But that's the only thing difference. It's the same channel. It's a new background. I just mixed up the background. And I forgot to tell y'all. So if y'all can see the background, right? Raiders Recap. Raiders Recap will be the new show every Sunday after the game. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you tickle the notification button to turn it on because it likes to be turned on. And that way you're notified, you know, when we drop content, when we go live, and when we pop up like today, right? So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notifications. Share this out to your people. If you have Raider fans that are looking for, you know, content creators with a, you know, a great vibe, decent chat, right? Not a lot of trolls, not a lot of clowning. Let them know. Let them know we here. We do this. We try to do it daily. Sometimes we don't get to it. Things come up, but as many times as I can, I will do it. So to my guy, Brian, it's only one channel, bro. It's only one channel. It's at Raiders Unleashed, A Raiders Rebel. Now I have two screens up right now. I have it on a short feed because a lot of my viewers, like 70% of my viewers, watch on their phone. They watch while they're at work, right? They listen while they're at work. And then a lot of my viewers are kind of my age, 50 and older, and they watch at home on their TV. So I got both views just to make everybody happy because, you know, if everybody's happy, then I'm happy. Raiders. But yeah, so we got the recap show will be Sunday, an hour after every game. So 1 hour after the game, if the game's a morning game, an hour after it's over. I don't usually know when that is or what that time is. So I'll probably set it for, a time, but it might be early and it might be later. But if your notifications are on, you will know Rebels Live, right? Rebels Live. It'll tell you. So we'll be doing that. Rebels recap. We'll be recapping every single game. Pros and cons, right? Standout players, stars. And then on Mondays, we'll be doing a breakdown of the game. But that might be on my Patreon because YouTube doesn't seem to allow me to, get that shit out there if it's not monetized. So make sure you subscribe to the Patreon as well. What we got? Frank Weber salute. Sometimes your best weapon, your biggest threat, doesn't lead the team in catches. 1,000%, right? 1,000%. And sometimes you can have the best offense in all of the NFL, but your defense is ass, like the Dallas Cowboys, who gives up 30 points a game, right? Or your defense is ass, like the Raiders, that give up 25 points a game, or your defense is ass, like the Tennessee Titans, that gave up 28.1 yards points a game. That's just ridiculous. The New York Jets gave up 29.6, right? And they had a defensive-minded head coach. Mind you, they went out and got a defensive-minded head coach, and they gave up 29.6 with they have a whole farm. They have a whole farm of first and second round defensive players over there in New York. They still gave up 29.6. The Arizona Cardinals, top 5 NFL offensive team in the NFL. Top 10, I don't know. I think they were 6. But the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett, who threw at a clip of around 60% as well, didn't make the playoffs. Why? Because they had 3,923 yards receiving, 230 a game, and 2,158 yards. That, yes, the last place Arizona Cardinals, like the Raiders, had 2,158 yards, 126.9 per game. The Raiders, we averaged 116 per game. That's not right. Well, all right. So we averaged 116 per game. That's more than I thought. But we only had 1,986 yards. So less than 2,000 yards rushing. But if you look at all these teams on here, man, the norm is pretty much 2,000 yards rushing as a team. The outliers were Minnesota with 2,001, Buffalo with 2,300. New Orleans, their quarterback ran for a pretty good clip. They had 2,000. Green Bay ran for over 2,000. Philly ran for over 2,000. Atlanta and Carolina all ran for over 2,000. Miami, the Jets, Arizona, the Giants, Chicago, Dallas, Cincinnati. And so all these teams, the last 7 teams all ran for over 2,100 yards, but they all had a defense that gave up 26 points, 28 points, 30 points, 24, 25, 28, and 29 points per game. Just goes back to show you that if you just listen to me, we'd be a better team, a better franchise, right? Just goes to show you that all the people that think quarterbacks win football games, running backs don't mean nothing to an offense. You can't draft them 6th overall. Hogwash, nonsense, bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Look at all these quarterbacks and in the yards they had per season that didn't make the playoffs. Why? Special teams no good. Defense no good. Coaching out coached. That's the biggest one of all. Coaching out coached. 90 degrees and rain in the 707. Ooh, 90 degrees and rain. That's humid. Oh, there we go. The name change threw me off. Okay. I was like, man, is somebody stealing my channel and trying to dub it? Like, I don't know why he would do such a thing, but liked and subbed already back in the day. I know you did, Mr. Kenner, but just in case, you never know. Your short feed turned off when you brought in Chris. What? That's weird. No, the whole live stream turned off. It just shut off. He was still talking, but I got kicked from my own live stream. I don't know what happened there. That was crazy talk. Shout out for the $2 smacker Rizzle. Appreciate you, my nizzle. Raiders for life. Hope your day is well. Handsome. Oh, so nice, so nice. I appreciate you. I hope you're having a blessed day as well. All right, man. So that's what I got for you. You could be optimistic, right? You could be optimistic and not be in your feelings. You could be optimistic and not want to jump off a bridge because the Raiders didn't meet your expectations, or at least some people can. If you can't, then maybe you should seek counseling, get some help. I don't know what to tell you if it's that much to you, but I can have high expectations and them not exceed the expectations or meet them and still be fine, right? Yes, I'm gonna be pissed. Yes, I'm gonna come on here and call out players that aren't doing their job. That's just what I do, and hopefully you like that. If you don't, then unsubscribe to the channel, man. You know how we do it over here. But to say that you need a number one receiver in the NFL these days, I think that's crazy talk to me, right? I think that's crazy talk, right? I've showed you plenty of examples of teams that didn't have that true number one wide receiver, and they had a group of wide receivers. Look at the Colts, look at Jacksonville, right? A lot of teams in the NFL, well, not a lot of teams anymore, but and the teams that have two wide receivers, that have those two high paid wide receivers, seem to have the worst defenses in the NFL. And it goes two different ways. You either pay your offense or you pay your defense, or you draft smart and you draft wide receivers. You don't sign wide receivers to a 10-year contract or a 5-year contract at $36 million, right? You use them. And yes, I said use because it's a business, right? You get these guys in as rookies, whether they're first, second, third round, you develop them, you let them play. And then when it's time to make that money, you move on from them. Same as the running back. And I feel that's the way the NFL is going to start to go, right? Because you look at guys like JSN and, wasn't supposed to be that guy. You look at guys like Puka, wasn't supposed to be that guy, right? You look at many guys drafted in the NFL that aren't supposed to be the guys they are, that turn out to be these, top wide receivers. And you get them on a cheap deal for 4 years if you take them in the first round, right? Or possible 5 years if you take them in the first round. If you take them out of the first round, you still have them for 4 years until you have to pay them. And if you look at the NFL, Joe Burrow, second year, Jamar Chase was young. I don't know if Higgins was on that. Higgins was on that team, but a lot of money went to the offensive side of the ball. But then all that money was going to the defense because you had a rookie quarterback. You had young rookie wide receivers, right? You had young running backs. You had young offensive linemen. You weren't spending all that money. And they made it to a damn Super Bowl. But then after that, they're like, man, we need to pay Joe Burrow now, right? We need to pay Jamar Chase right now. We can't let this guy leave the building. And all that money went to the offense, and your team suffers because you're putting up 5,000 yards a season. Your quarterback and Joe Burrow is throwing for 5,000 yards a season, but you can't make the playoffs because you can't stop other teams. And to me, just like the running backs, teams started going away from the running back, and it's not important. You don't draft him in the first round. I think that's all coming to a head, right? When you draft a guy like Ashton Genty, no, no, he didn't help the Raiders win, but either did anybody else. Brock Bowers didn't either, right? Nobody on the Raiders team helped the Raiders win. So I feel like you can draft these guys in the first round if you don't have everything in place. But if you're close, like the Raiders were, right? We needed a quarterback. We needed offensive line help. Well, we went and paid $81 million for the best center in the NFL. And then we went and got a rookie quarterback. And then we got a top-notch veteran, maybe the best quarterback we've ever had in this organization for $11 million. So the Raiders are making moves. They're making the right moves. And I feel like number one quarterbacks are overrated to me when you're paying them $25, $30 million, right? You can get 2 wide receivers for that or 3. And you can also, draft young and not have to pay those guys. So the NFL is changing. Coaches, are finding way to move these guys. And if you look at the list that I showed earlier, I don't know how many people seen it because not, everybody is observant of as I am. But if you look at the list I showed earlier, a lot of these number one wide receivers had worse years than the number 2 slot receiver. Why? Because teams are starting to use the slot position as speed, big guys, physical guys. You can throw them the ball 2-5 yards down the field and they get 25, 30 yards. Look at Puka Nacua, right? Look at what they're doing to, what they did with JSN. You can find these guys in the draft and get production out of them before you have to pay them millions of dollars. And that's how you become a winning franchise in the NFL. Look at any team that's ever won the Super Bowl and look how many rookies on rookie deals they had playing at a high clip. It's like 89% had more than 10 rookies, more than 10 players. I think more than 15 players on rookie deals playing at a high clip. That's an insane amount. Casualties often make the same mistakes, thinking that a quarterback is the team. You would think that the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. That is clearly not the case, right? Because Sam Darnold, wasn't the greatest. He had a damn good year, but he had a damn good year because you had an offensive coordinator that knew how to use him to his strengths, that knew how to keep him from his mind spinning too much and thinking too much, right? You set him up. You don't make him change a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage unless it's totally necessary. And you run the plays given, which the Raiders had a problem doing that when they had Josh McDaniels. It didn't work out very good. Will it work out this good this time with the offensive coach that pretty much is a lot like Josh McDaniels when you come to think of it, the discipline, the practices, the way he's trying to implement and install, his culture is kind of a lot like Josh McDaniels. Let's just hope he's a better coach than Josh McDaniels, player-wise. Innovative defense with dogs on it, a balanced offense, lots of play action from under center and motion shifts, 21 personnel, 12 personnel. Mix it up. Kubiak is about to show people. I feel that 100%. And, the 12 personnel is going to be high. It's going to be high. I'd be willing to say 30, 40%. I wouldn't be surprised if we are not in 12 personnel at close to 40% or, mid 40 range. Which if you look at the NFL last year and the top teams in 12 personnel, how much they ran it, I believe it was in the 40s. Now, there's another thing, right, where you can run 22 personnel. And I think this is one that's overlooked. 22 personnel with 2 tight ends and 2 running backs, or a running back and a fullback, changes a lot. You have a lead blocker. You have misdirection. You can send 2 guys 2 different ways, and those linebackers have to follow. And that leaves one-on-one and takes the zone away, right? If your linebackers are having to follow in man because you're spreading guys out, it's taking the zone away and it's opening up the middle of the field. So Kubiak is definitely smart. He's going to mix it up. 12 personnel, 21 personnel, 22 personnel, right? And again, I said it before, I wouldn't be surprised on goal line situations if you have three tight ends out there and two running backs. I wouldn't be surprised just because the way he likes to move motion and move things and run everything on the line on that wide zone. I would not be surprised. OMG, look how many tight ends got talent in the draft. They see what the Rams and 49ers been doing, and now everybody wants to reciprocate it. 100%. 100%. And everybody's been trying to do that since back in the day with Shannon Sharp and what's the dude from the Chargers? I don't know why I just drove blank. I hate it when names come to your head and then they just run away. It's really annoying. But yeah, man, there's been some great tight ends, and the Raiders have had a great tight end. Todd Christensen, 7 Pro Bowls. I do believe he had 5 in a row. He averaged over 1,000 yards receiving, I think, in those 5 Pro Bowls. So the Raiders have had those tight ends before and have used them very well to win a lot of games. And they will use them again to win a lot of games for sure. For sure. All right, man. I would talk football all day, but my eyes are watering. I got to pee so bad. I'm not going to make it. I had some more things to talk about, but, we will save those for another day. So, yeah, in short, number one wide receivers are needed. 2 number one wide receivers, all making over $25 million. History shows in the NFL that you cannot sustain a season like that, right? You can't have a winning season if all your money is on one side of the ball to the offense. When you're paying your quarterback and your tight end and your receivers and your running back, $150 million a year or $200 million a year, and you have 100 left over for the rest of the team, not sustainable. It's not a way to win in the NFL, and teams can't do that. So I love what the Raiders are doing. I love the fact that you're giving these guys a chance, right? I've said it all off season. I feel the best thing the Raiders could possibly do is wait until the hell is wait until the preseason's over, right? And then if you feel like, hey, man, we need a wide receiver. Our offensive line is good. Our quarterback play and rushing attack is very, very solid. Cállate. Let's go depth chart. Right? If you feel like that's really solid, why is it popping up? Man, fucking dog. Shut up. Quiet. Zip it. Shut the fuck up. Dog. Who is in my yard? That's why you're barking. Good girl, do your job. Stop barking. All right, so the dogs are out. Appreciate you, Frank Weber. Appreciate you being here. This is the last thing I got to show, and then we're gonna get the heck out of here. Why ain't my damn computer working? Click on the button. Jeez Louise. I don't know what's going on. I think it's getting hot. I don't know what happened. Can you please quiet your dog or take her outside, please? Middle of the live stream. That'd be nice. Thank you. All right, so you got guys like Jack Bess, Dante Thornton, Philip Dorsett. A lot of guys are sleeping on, Brandon Johnson, a little bit older, but still has speed, right? He is, how old is he? the hell's his birthday? 98. Oh, damn. Yeah, he's a little older. A little older. So you got guys like like Brandon Johnson. I don't know. I don't know his chances of making the team. To me, in my opinion, are slow. Very slim. But anything can happen in the NFL, right? But when you got guys like Trey Tucker and Malik Benson that run, 4.37s, blazing speed. Cedric Jackson, even faster, I think, than both of those two guys, to be honest. EJ Williams, up there runs in the 4.4s. Jalen Naylor 4.4s, Derek Young 4.5s, Chase Roberts 4.5s, Jonathan Brady, another guy that's 4.37. I mean, damn, if you go Jonathan Brady, Cedric Jackson, Malik Benson, and Trey Tucker as four of your guys, and then you have Jack Besh and Jalen Naylor, you have four guys that run 4.37. The Chiefs won many Super Bowls like that, right? The Patriots went about it different. They had those physical guys that were sure-handed guys that were going to catch everything, guys like Brock Bowers, guys like Jack Besh, guys like Michael Mayer, right? We have those guys in the building that catch everything. Then you got Derek Young, Chase Roberts, Jonathan Brady. So right now, as it stands, we are still at 12 wide receivers. They only keep 6. There could be a scenario where we keep 7. But to me, that wide receiver room is Jalen Naylor, Trey Tucker, Jack Besh, unless something crazy happens, Malik Benson, Cedric Jackson. And then I feel like it's a battle for that last one, whether it's Derek Young, whether it's Dante Thornton, whether it's Philip Dorsett, EJ Williams could sneak up in there, Chase Roberts, just because of his physicality, right? Got that Steve Smith kind of build. Now, I believe the Raiders. Wait, hide, hide, right? I believe this room is definitely very much so being slept on. Right? Let's just do some quick math and then I'll get out here. Shout out to people still in. If everybody's in here, I think I could hold it for a second. So, quick math. What do we need to see from these receivers, right? Jalen Naylor had, oh shit, I don't have his numbers. Let's go from our own receivers, right? Let's go from our own receivers. Cedric Jackson, average 14 yards a clip. Can he sustain that when you're getting 100 targets? If he's that number 3 guy, 100 targets will be a lot, but you never know in a Clint Kubiak system of what guys are going to break out. I feel like he's one of those coaches that if a guy's doing well, you keep feeding him and feeding him and feeding him and feeding him, right? That's how JSN kept getting targets. He just kept winning his 111, winning his routes, and the ball kept coming to him, right? So just say Cedric Jackson makes the team, my guy. Let's say he gets 50 targets and he catches 35 of them, right? 35. That's 490 yards from your 4th or 5th or 6th string wide receiver, right? That's a if. That's a if he stays at that 14 yards per clip. But with his speed, 6'1", 198, right? He's got that physical body. He can win off the line. He doesn't get, held up by guys pressing or playing press man. Cedric Jackson. Now, again, he only had 5 targets, but we know about the coaching, the offense, how that went. And he's been a guy that's been in a lot of talks to the media of going out there showing out, not only from the X position on the outside, but also from the slot. And if you keep keep showing out from the slot. You worked your ways up from the twos to the ones, and now you're catching, passes from Aiden O'Connell and Kirk Cousins, right? So those numbers, could go up. And maybe if you give him more, what is it if he gets, stays at that clip and he ends up being your third guy instead of your fourth or fifth guy, and your third guy gets, let's see what our third guy got this year. Third guy got 60 targets. So say you get 60 and you catch, we'll even go half, man. Like, I guess that wouldn't be enough, but 50 targets. Nope, I need to go times. Damn it. So if he caught 50 balls, somewhere around the yards he was averaging last season, and I know he only got 5 targets, but if he makes the team, bro, that's 700 yards. That could easily be your number 2 guy, right? Easily be your number 2. We did Trey Tucker what he needs, right, at 12.2 a clip. He caught 57 passes. He needs to catch another, somewhere around 80 to 85 to get over 100 yards at that mark. I think the yards per catch will go up for him. Brock Bowers, we know that's going to go up. But let's go off of Brock's last year. Let's go off Brock's last year. What did he get last year? Mr. Bowers had a whopping 153 targets last year. 153 as a rook. So rook, was he a rookie last year? Or was it 23? I don't know, man. I don't know. But anyways, he had 153 targets. He caught 112 balls. And it was only 10.7 yards per clip. Last year, 10.6 per clip. So I don't even have to do no math. I feel the yardage per catch may go up a little bit for Brock Bowers, but I don't think it's going to go up much, right? He's going to have bigger plays, I feel like. But when you get him in, when you're throwing him the ball in 5-10 yard space or behind the line of scrimmage like they did an awful lot in 2024, right? You had 1,994 yards, 153 targets with 112 catches in 17 games, averaging 10.5. Jacoby Myers last year, right? Now, this goes back to my point, which everybody left and will forget the point. But if you watch it, this is the point. The Raiders had 2,000-yard receivers last year. That's right, 2. Jacoby Myers had 1,027 yards, 129 targets, 87 catches, 11.8 a clip. Trey Tucker averaged 11.5 last year, 12.2 last year. In 2024, 11.5. That's more than Davante Adams was averaging. Davante Adams was averaging 11.6. His Trey Tucker's clip this year was 2 yards more per catch than Davante Adams over there with the Rams. To me, that says a lot. To you, it might not, right? But those were our 3 receivers. The rest, Madison, Abdul, Adams only played 3 games with us. He don't count. DJ Turner played 12 games. He averaged 9. Michael Mayer averaged 7.4. And Terrence Marshall Jr. averaged 13.7, but he only got like 5 passes. So we don't need to go off Brock's last year. Well, 2025. Jack Besh. Let's do Jack Besh. So if Jack Besh gets targets like a third wide receiver, that would be, according to the stats we looked at, right, somewhere around 100 targets, 110, 105, 115, right? That would be number 2 mark. So if you're the number 3 guy, somewhere around 90 targets. So if we give Jack Best 90 targets on what he had last year instead of the 29 targets, right? And out of those 90, I'll even go there. I'll say 75. Out of 90, he catches 75. At a what? 11.2? I can't do math today. 75. That's 840 yards. That's 840 yards. He would have to catch 75 passes at 11.2 a clip. In this system, I don't know why that can't be done, right? And then Jalen Naylor and those guys, I don't know. But if you look at Dante Thornton, Malik Benson, right, who's already taken the top off the defense, if he can be that guy as well, I just don't see a need for a number 1 wide receiver. So make it through preseason and see what happens, man. See what happens, because I feel like a lot of people are going to be surprised how much Connor Hayward catches the ball out of the backfield, how much Michael Mayer catches the ball out of the backfield, how much Brock Bowers catches the ball out of the backfield. Look at Seattle's offense. JSN, their number 1 guy, caught the ball, lined up in the backfield as the H many, many times. And I don't know why they wouldn't use Brock or Michael Mayer or Jack Best in those situations. Get them in motion, get the ball to them, at the line of scrimmage while they're in motion with blockers out in front of them, and let those guys do what they do and make yards after the catch, right? So appreciate everybody. Shout out to everybody in the building. We will be back tomorrow unless I get a wild hair up my ass and decide to pop back in later on. I had other shit to talk about, but we will pull that up later. Offensive line, I will break that down if I come back on later tonight or tomorrow, right? I wanted to show some clips. I want to show a little bit of Jordan Meredith playing left guard as well as playing right guard compared to Spencer Burford playing left guard on the 49ers. Shout out, pull in for that. Tune in for that. Love everybody. Appreciate everybody in the building, all the mods doing your thing, everybody that commented, that contributed to the show. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow and do all those good things. Protect your mind, yourself, and your family, and always hold a commitment to excellence to yourself and the people you run with. Much love, as always. Raiders!
The rebellion. Raiders Unleashed on the screen. Hit that subscribe. It's the Raiders Rebel in the building. Silver and black. 2026. Yeah. Welcome to the desert. You know what time it is. Let's go! Left the bay for the lights, now we lighting up the strip. A legion in the desert, yeah, we built a mothership. No more dirt on the diamond, no more Coliseum rain. Just a blacked out dome where we deal out the pain. We're the villains of the league, always been the outcast. Built on Al Davis' ghost and we're built to outlast. The torch is still burning, it's a lifestyle of greed. In the city of sin, we're the only ones you need. Silver and black is back, check the throne. The Raiders got a new home in the dome. The nation is rising, we're coming for everyone. Forget the other 31, we're the only ones. Yeah, we're unleashed. Rebel with the vision, Raider nation worldwide. Making that precision, one mission, one pride. Until the game is won, fuck the other 31. We're second to none. Check the box office, yeah, the leadership is changing. Tom Brady in the office, things are rearranging. The GOAT is a minority owner, that's a fact. Bringing that winning DNA, no turning back. From the field to the booth, now he's part of the shield. Watching from the suite while we're dominant on the field. The rebels on the mic, Raiders unleashed on the tube. Giving you the raw truth, we don't move like a rube. I'm a rebel with a cause, and the cause is the win. Blacking out the sun, let the nightmare begin. Chiefs, boats, and the ponies, they can all catch a fade. They're just stepping stones for the history we made. From the pirate on the helmet to the patch on the eye. We're the heartbeat of Vegas under that desert sky. Turn the volume up high, let the channel go live. domination, only the strongest survive. Silver and black is back, check the throne. The Raiders got a new home, and the domination is rising. We're coming for everyone. Forget the other 31, we're the only ones. Yeah, we're unleashed, rebel with the vision, Raider nation worldwide, making that precision. One mission, one pride, until the game is won. Fuck the other 31, we're second to none. You hear the RAIDERS chant. They thought we'd go soft in the desert, they can't. We brought the autumn wind to the 702, the rebel and unleashed, coming straight for you. Raiders unleashed, you know where to find us. Raiders World, keeping it 100. Vegas is ours, the dome is ours, the shield is forever. Raiders unleashed on the screen. Hit that subscribe. It's the Raiders Rebel in the building. Silver and black.